Tak, ale pojďme. Jdeme na to.
That feeling of just knowing the game is right for you when you first lay eyes on it is such a great feeling.
The thing that happens is you start to feel the excitement just build up.
I'm thinking about it all the time, even in my sleep.
Incluso a veces por una misma comunidad. Te llegas a enamorar bastantísimo.
I play video games because I love stories.
Experiencing worlds that you can't experience as yourself.
I guess video games allow me to be what I can't. It's fiction, but it's not.
You come home, log onto your PC, and disappear into a different world.
I am a part of something bigger, a part of something beautiful.
As an autistic person, video games give me a place where I could be in a world that made sense to me.
I will tell you that all of my family play video games.
Me and my brothers, we would share the computer 1 hour at a time.
저는 제 와이프랑 게임을 가장 많이 해요.
I'm really enjoying playing video games with my dad.
My children.
My little sister. That connection between video games, allowing us to converse with each other, added a lot to our relationship.
Games like the World of Warcraft let me meet people that I probably never would have.
I can honestly say I met some of my best friends through playing games.
We have this connection that allows us to share our joys, to share our achievements, to share our growth together.
Every time I'm able to achieve something, I'm able to make myself proud.
Killing heroic Blackhand back in Warlords of Draenor was one of my favorite memories.
I managed to find that one hidden pylon with my one Mutalisk.
We beat hardcore Inferno Diablo.
I was able to hit gold in competitive in Overwatch.
I had someone say, oh, I can't lose to a girl. And I beat that guy.
So I was able to slay this warlock as a little gnome holy priest, freaking out and screaming the whole time.
Adrenaline through my body was going crazy.
Pela caminhada ter sido tão prazerosa e pela conquista ter vindo.
A gente se sentiu muito, caramba, a gente fez algo incrível aqui.
I killed the Lich King! I killed the Lich King!
然后我夺冠的时候，现场的女性工作人员，包括有些男的工作人员，他们都哭了。
Many years ago, I was doing a quest in Terracar Forest, and a lovely little mage came up and said, "Would you like a hand?" They helped me for the rest of the day. We've been married now for over a decade.
Those video games filled a void. They filled the friendship that didn't have. There isn't a huge LGBTQIA+ community in the city. So when I was able to play a video game, I was able to start talking with people who didn't really care that I was a gay male.
But video games were my escape. When I was a teenager, my dad was diagnosed with ALS, and I looked to video games as a way to escape from that sort of reality. Everything happens for a reason, and I'm just glad video games were there for me.
I'll never stop playing video games.
There's no way.
I imagine myself one day being an 80-year-old grandpa gamer.
I don't think I would be who I am today.
My passion, my interest, my excitement, they belong.
Video games opened for me the world.
And because of that, I'm forever thankful.
And I can't wait to see what the next generation holds.
Thank you. Oh yeah. Never put up. Nie będę widział żadnych kamer. L16. Já dáme dobré. Úžasné. Playing with us. Jo. Pojďme. 30 roků. 30 roků Blizzardu. Ty vole.
Welcome to Blizzconline, a celebration of 30 years of Blizzard communities, 30 years of Blizzard games.
Trošku přijde, že je to trošku takové
30 years is
mám trošku zvýšené, ale ty tím pádem, protože to celé zesílil.
And last year maybe felt like one of the longest of all. But throughout the years of Blizzard Entertainment, from 1991 to today, many of us can associate certain games with milestones in our lives. Maybe you were a little kid the first time you played,
pokud někdo dá resap právě teď, tak vám to ostřelí uši.
In high school when you first played a Diablo game.
Prosím, nedávejte resap nikdo.
Or
Prosím,
maybe you met your partner while you were playing World of Warcraft. That's the awesome thing about video games. They give us experiences that are relevant to the times in our lives and experiences that we carry forward with us. Games are here for us during good times, and they're here for us even when we feel alone or maybe uncertain. Games are coming home, familiar, comfortable, with a connection and a sense of belonging. And while many of us spent most of 2020 in our actual real-life homes, games became even more of a place to get away, to be free from outside concerns, even if just for a little while. So, this is pretty weird.
Okay.
Usually, when we start BlizzCon, the opening call is to my favorite Warcraft faction, the Alliance.
Oh yeah.
Or my favorite faction, the Horde. I get confused. Usually,
napište do chatu, koho reprezentujete.
40,000 of you in person at the Anaheim Convention Center.
Máme to emoty.
And millions of you around the world. And usually, that would be a perfect way to celebrate. But nothing about the last year has been usual. The pandemic has been hard on everyone, and for many different reasons. But if there's one thing that the last year has taught us, it's that being apart physically doesn't stop us from moving forward.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't stop us from connecting with our player friends around the world, diving in as warriors and heroes, and checking on each other as humans. It doesn't stop us from sharing our latest epic gaming story, or celebrating those of others. Games continue to unite us. Now, to be honest, I wasn't sure how well Blizzard could work from home. There are thousands of people, all needing to work together in creating our universes, games, and experiences. Never has it felt more true that it takes a Blizzard to make a Blizzard game. And in 2020, it became clear that the magic of creating at Blizzard isn't just tied to a physical location. It's tied to the people who work here, and I continue to be so proud of each and every one of them.
Okay.
Thank you, Blizzard. We create these games and pour all of our energy and heart into them, but it is you, the Blizzard community, that brings them to life. And that's why Blizzconline is a celebration of you, the guild leaders, healers, DPS, tanks, innkeepers, Zerg, Terran, Protoss, Blackwatch, Shimada, the heroes of Sanctuary and of the Storm. These next few days are for you, our Blizzard community. For World of Warcraft, we'll be showing you what's next for both Shadowlands and Classic.
Okay.
I'm sure you're all burning in anticipation for that.
Burning, oh yeah.
Hearthstone is getting back to its roots in a major way. We can't wait to show you how.
You know, část taková zajímavá, to možná tady trošku stiším.
We also have news for our Diablo community.
Diablo, no se hrozně moc těším.
Some of you were able to dip your toes into the depths of hell in the Diablo Immortal technical alpha. I really enjoyed seeing players embrace the multiplayer aspect of meeting in town. We can't wait for more of you to get your hands on it.
Okay.
So, it's only the beginning of the year, and already there is so much to look forward to, even though we can't yet be together in person.
Okay. To se budeme trošku více bavit, jo.
The Overwatch League will be kicking things off in spring, and we'll be watching closely to see if the San Francisco Shock can continue their championship run. World of Warcraft esports is back with the Arena World Championship and Mythic Dungeon International already in full swing in Shadowlands.
Shadowlands, oh yeah.
StarCraft 2 and Warcraft 3 esports are going strong with our friends at the ESL Pro Tour. And qualifiers are already underway for the first online stop of the 2021 Hearthstone Masters Tour.
Okay.
With the first event taking place next month.
Takže to je ohledně takových akcí, které jsou okolo toho.
But
e-sporty, podobné.
Before we get too far ahead, let's take a look one last time to when times were a little simpler. In the early 1990s, the internet was a baby. CD sales had finally eclipsed cassette tape. Cassette tape is a rectangle piece of plastic. Tape inside, and music would get recorded on. Sometimes you needed a pencil to wind it and make it tight. I know, it sounds crazy. We were all playing video games, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, DOS, or Mac PCs. I personally was a master of Big Sis, auto-exec bat. So many simple things in simple times. If only we could relive them.
Okay, to bude taková historie. Alright.
The stage is set. The green flag drops. Let the carnage begin.
No a díky, jak to přijde, můj názor. Ne, pohodím, jako můj názor uslyšte u World of Warcraftu. Je to trošku hlasitější. Můj názor uslyšte u World of Warcraftu, takže World of Warcraft je to, co nás tady bude zajímat, především. Máme tu různé věci, Blackthorn, staré věci, jo. Tam jsou. To bude, kdo přečíst, to bude... To přečtu tady. A jich písíčko, děkuji hrozně moc, musím otevřít BDV Social Blade. To je spíš taková vedlejší část, víme to pro World of Warcraft. Všichni tady víte, a pro ty, co jsou tady BDV nové, všechny vás to vítám. My tu jsme především pro tu World of Warcraft část. Takže my tu čekáme na všechno, co týká World of Warcraftu, klasické VCčka a takové. Pro BDV má za sledování, byl bych velmi rád, kdybyste mi dali sledování, protože to pomůže a zrovna vám to opravdu pomůže. A bude opravdu nějaké jam, co jo, bude to opravdu nějaké jamova. Nepokoušíte osud, Direction Guide musí být. Musí se tam ptát na nějaké otázky, ty vole, kde zmizela nějaká duše. Chápete? Tak, ale hele, něco kouknu, BDV. Děkujeme za sledování, Máme stále tento. Máme takové arcade, ok. Arcade Collection. Staré hry.
The Blizzard Arcade Collection, featuring the Lost Vikings, Rock and Roll Racing,
tohle bude celkově collection, to je nějaká arcade collection. Přímo jako Blizzardu, prostě kde vzali všechny tyhle jak kdyby dohromady. Jsem mi dal jebán? Ne. Hledám možná se tady budu mazat, pokud ten přímo jako zpomovat ke jammy, tak se tady bude možná mazat. A nemazejte ke jammy. Když tady píšou po jednom ke jammy, tak to nevadí. Ti, co budou spamovat, tak to už je potom horší.
We include very modern, cutting-edge functionality that wasn't available in the early 90s. Both saving and loading of games.
Čete je zajímavá tyhle staré hry, já se vás rovnou zeptám. Stají vás tyhle staré hry, Trigger? Ne, to mě je hrozný spam ke jamu, to bude vlastně, tady se to jenom maže. Čete, zajímavá tady tyhle arkády, tyhle vlastně staré arkády a tady tahle kolekce. Mě zrovna moc ne, jako znám to.
Ready to hear about some other video games? Let's hear what's next for World of Warcraft.
Buďte potichu, čete, buďte potichu. Jdeme na to.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for joining us today. No matter where you are, World of Warcraft unites us all. Whether you're exploring the Shadowlands, classic Azeroth, or another part of the Blizzard universe, I'm glad you could make it. Because we've got a lot of good stuff to show you. But first, let's start with some Covenant Pride.
Okay.
Kyrian, take flight.
Kyrian.
Night Fae, let the hunt begin. Lords, to war!
Je to hrozně potichu.
Let's party!
True.
The world has thrown a lot at us since the last BlizzCon. And the thing that's really kept everyone going on the WoW team has been connecting with all of you. The bonds we forge with our guilds and family and friends in WoW are powerful and real. As WoW enters its 16th year and Blizzard celebrates its 30th anniversary, we're so grateful to have the most dedicated and friendly communities in gaming. Let's recap the events in Azeroth. In WoW Classic, we fought an endless battle for South Shore and Tauren Mill. We banded together to open the gates of Ahn'Qiraj and joined forces to take down Kel'Thuzad in his floating citadel of Naxxramas. In Shadowlands, we helped our Covenant recover from the anima drought brought on by Sire Denathrius, master of the Vinthier and traitor to the Pantheon of Death. We survived the halls of Torghast and crafted legendary gear in our efforts to expel Denathrius from his castle lair. But innocent souls are still wrongfully being sent to the Maw. They face an eternity of torment, and heroes like Anduin remain chained in its depths. The jailer continues to grow in power. He's preparing to break free from the Maw and complete his plan to unmake the entire Warcraft universe. And Sylvanas, you may be wondering what she's been up to all this time. Today, we're excited to unveil our first major content update for Shadowlands, Chains of Domination.
Double leak. O tom už víme. To je starý cinematic, ještě starý cinematic. Moc nahlas.
Look around you! What makes you believe you're not just a weapon to achieve his ends?
Enough!
Join our cause. To není speciálního, to jsou staré cinematiky.
Right now,
to se vlastně dělo mezi ní a Anduinem. Takže tak.
Make your choice, Sylvanas Windrunner.
Oh yeah.
Despite all our efforts, the Maw continues to grow. What if Denathrius' treachery is irreparable? The Primus is lost, and Bastion cannot save the Shadowlands alone.
None of this should have happened.
Perhaps the Winter Queen could...
My Archon, a living soul, seeks an audience.
A mortal?
A king. By all our measures, one who has spent his life striving for justice. One who would give anything to serve his people. One whose heart is true.
Very well. He may approach. Step forward. My Ascended have spoken of you. The king held captive in the Maw.
That prison could not hold me forever.
Why have you come to Bastion?
You have a key that I need.
You will release this soul from your grasp.
No. He is bound to me. Just as you once sought to bind your own brother. Performed its part flawlessly. Mercy. 3 keys remain. Then they will see. Death was never meant to be chained.
Beach. Ty vole, já jsem to chápal, co tam je. Ty vole, já se musím podívat na to, ty vole, co tady bude potom dál. Ale ty vole. Čujete, co říká na cinematik? Já nevím, jestli se mám rovnou vrhnout na rozbor. Já možná ten rozbor udělám až potom, protože tady asi něco ještě bude. Takže ty vole, to udělám až potom, ale to je luxusní. Nemám tolik moc otázek, actually vím, o co tam jde, ty vole. Tohle si všechno zodpovíme. Všechno se budeme bavit. Počkat, takže je tam ty něco z World of Warcraftu? Počkat, takže jo, ještě jeden tě bude. Vorova všechno, tak počkat, to bude ten druhý, ne rovnou. Já právě nevím.
We've heard a lot from our community about how much they love these pets and the opportunity to give to a good cause.
Dobře.
Along with ideas to make the program
to překliknul, fuck me. Dobré, nic se neděje, čete, nic se neděje. Nic se neděje, to je hrozně skav.
So during this upcoming campaign, you'll be able to donate whatever amount you wish to directly support our chosen charity.
Okay.
Once donations reach our goal, everyone playing World of Warcraft will get a pet for their collection as a thank you. Whether you were able to contribute personally,
no, není to konec, ještě to bude samozřejmě další věci. Ale já nevím, jestli ještě bude něco pokračovat z World of Warcraftu. Myslíte, tam bude ještě něco pokračovat z World of Warcraftu, ale nebude. To bude až později. Já bych chtěl dokoukat celou tu ceremonii. Bananas, máš nějaké nové petíky. Na to se koukneme ještě. Když se vrhneme na celý rozbor, nemusí se bát, buďte tady. To uděláme, až budeme mít trošičku času.
And if we reach our stretch goal, you'll also get Daisy the Sloth.
Okay.
She's an all-new pet who'll hang around your neck when you need a hug. Your donations during this campaign will go to support the medical humanitarian organization Doctors Without Borders. Also known by their French name, Médecins Sans Frontières, or MSF. They're an amazing group doing important work around the world. We're grateful to have such a generous community, and we hope you'll help support this worthy cause.
Yeah.
We'll be sharing the details about the charity pet program on the World of Warcraft website soon. So we've talked quite a bit about Shadowlands. Classic players, now it's your turn. It's my pleasure to hand off to my teammate, Holly Longdale. She's a longtime WoW player, a veteran MMO developer, and she's going to tell us what's in store for WoW Classic.
WoW Classic. Ale čete, chcete to tady celé pustit, to bylo nahlas, to oni mají hrozně nevybalancované, ale chcete tady pustit tady tohle, anebo se vrhneme přímo do toho rozboru, který bude ten Classic. Čete, chcete rozbor, anebo chcete dokoukat? Klasika nebo rozbor? Budu dělat celý rozbor totiž. Já budu dělat úplně celý rozbor toho cinematiku. Takže já uvažuji kdy, protože oni tady mají furt něco dané, aby tam furt něco bylo. Rozbor, dokoukat. A já to vidím hrozně moc rozborů. Dobře, čete, jdeme to vrátit zpátky a jdeme se vrhnout na kompletní rozbor. Já nevím, jestli to bude okamžitě na jejich kanále, ale já bych se možná podíval, jestli to třeba neuploadnou hned, my jsme to viděli přece jenom. Oni tam většinou dávají, jo, dávají to tam hned. Kingsmorn, jo, ty krávo, dobře. Tohle je klasik teda. Pokud chcete se podívat na TBCčko, hádám, že... Proč tady tahle část? Jo, dobré, to je evidentně součástí. Ale chtěl jsem říct, že pokud se podívat třeba na tu TBC část, tak se koukněte třeba k Roháčovi, hádám, že ten se na to bude dívat, a nebo prostě se běžte podívat někam jinam. Každopádně, my si to jdeme vrhnout na kompletní rozbor. My potom budeme ještě pokračovat samozřejmě, ale teď bych chtěl udělat rozbor na tady tenhle cinematik, abyste pochopili, co tady vlastně dělo od někoho, kdo ví, co se tady děje, prostě má přečtěno spoustu knížek. Takže já řeknu, že jsem celkem relatable source, ale jo, tady jsme to měli. A můžete vidět, máme tu přímo, že začátek celého toho cinematiku. A tohle je vlastně Elysian Hold. Jde vlastně o Hold. Já to tady asi nebudu pouštět úplně celé, každopádně tohle je vlastně Elysian Hold. Je to vlastně hlavní sídlo Kyrianu, co je vlastně jedna z nových frakcí, které se nachází v Shadowlands. Jedna ze 4, vlastně máme tady Nightfare, Necrolordy, Kyriany a Ventery, abych nezapomněl. Takže tohle je vlastně hlavní město právě těch, a tady se nachází Kirestea the Firstborn. Kirestea the Firstborn byl actually hlavní, jak kdyby je to hlavní velitelka celého Bastionu a je to vlastně velitelka celé Covenanty, takže jedna z prvních bytostí, které vůbec kráčely po celém Bastionu. Další meč, hádám, že silnější jak Remornia. Možná jo. Každopádně tady můžeme vidět, jak společně se zbývajícími paragony, to jsou vlastně ještě paragoni, kteří přežili to, co se dělo v Shadowlands, protože Devo spadla, jen vše víte, Devo byla poražena. To byla jeden z paragonů, Paragon of Loyalty, později Paragon of Pride, nebo jak se jmenuje přesně. Ale teď tady doletí Clea. Který možná tuhle znáte, tohle byla vlastně Kyriánka, která nás doprovázela na naší cestě přes Bastion. No a zdá se, že už je ascended, že po téhle celé době konečně jak kdyby byla povznesena a konečně má křídla. Takže ona původně tam byla ještě bez křídel a teď má křídla, je to vlastně důležitá Kyriánka, která nás doprovázela. A to je Clea, Ty jsou ty mrazivý smutek Remornia, králův smutek True. Jmenuje se to evidentně Kingsmorn. Není to Shalamorn, je to Kingsmorn. Tak a tady dochází tyhle Anduin Vryn, syn Variana Vryna. A toto je velice zajímavé. protože Uther technicky neměl úplně znát Anduina. TBCčko, na to se nekoukáme. Běžte se ještě kouknout někam jinam, my si tady dáme rozbor tady tohoto. Každopádně, jak můžete vidět, tady mám vlastně samotného Uthera, ty vole, Uther, který byl Force Form a který byl zajmutý Kyriány, protože on se postavil proti Kyriánu a on poznal, že tohle není Anduin. On poznal, že tohle není Anduin, on si prostě chytnul tu ránu, kterou má vlastně ještě to Artase, který ho propichnul a zabil ho vlastně ještě během události Warcraftu 3, takže on to prostě vycítil, že to prostě není on. To něco bolí, prostě tam není něco v pořádku. A oni si myslí, že je to Anduin, oni si myslí, že to má Anduin, ale tak Uther by neznal Anduina. Jestli se nepletu, Uther s Anduinem se nikdy nepoznali. Neměl nikdy kdyby příležitost, bylo to přímo z historie. Za to, že Uther cítil, když se chytil za... Jo, cítil runový meč, přesně tak. Cítil tu temnotu, která byla i v Artasovi. Tady máme Kerestiu, já to možná nechám puštěné. Kerestia de Feldon. Král, který byl chycený v Demo. Nemohla mě udržet tohle vězení. Co tě přivádí do Bastionu? Máš klíč, který já potřebuji. Tady už jde poznat, ona hned pozná, že to není on. Nemůže to být on. Jo. A teď už pozná, že je to Jailer a že vypustíš tuhle duši ze svého uchopení, protože Fort Jailer má tuhle duši, využil vlastně Anduina jakožto takovou schránku, do kterou měl vykonat svoji vlastní vůli. Já si nemyslím, že do něho dal přímo Artase, ale prostě svůj fragment, který vlastně přinesl do samotného Bastionu, aby mohl porazit Kerestiu. Sklonil na ní a Vikevi večeru Paragoni, všichni Paragoni. To je velice zajímavé, k tomu se možná ještě potom dostaneme, a jak jste chtěli uvěznit svého vlastního bratra. Ono je velice zajímavá spekulace ohledně toho, že oni všichni pochází z Jailera, oni ho považují za bratra, a že všichni, i kdyby bytosti, jako je třeba Kerestia, Denathrius a podobné, vlastně je z teorie prostě, že byl původně jeden velký vůdce, tím byl právě Jailer, a oni ho potom měli uvěznit. To je spíše teorie, do které se nebudu úplně dostávat, ale to můžeme vidět tady, že kompromí všechny Paragony. Síla Jailera, opravdu nemají proti tomu šanci. A je to samotná Kerestia de Feldon, která se podívá. A tady ta proměna, ty vole, vypadá doslova jako Arthas, nebudeš říkat, to jako Arthas. Hodil tady, propichne, ty vole, pomocí svého meče. A Kerestia je mrtvá. Musím upozornit, že nese meč, který původně byl Shadowlands, byl to vlastně původní meč krále Variana. Byl to vlastně elfský meč, který byl vytvořen ze dvou různých mečů. A tím byl Elemain a Shella Thoris, to pamatuju správně, a slovníku vlastně Shadowlands. Ale oni to teď evidentně, jak kdyby to předělali, protože to byl runový meč, můžete vidět, jmenuje se evidentně Kingsmorn, co je velice zajímavé. A úplně se proměnila ta zbroj, ukázala se prostě ta Jailerovská strana. A ono je velice zajímavé, že ono je to velice propojené, protože Anduin je nyní agentem Jailera a Arthas byl taktéž agentem Jailera. Možná z toho důvodu vypadají tak podobně. Každopádně, můžete vidět, propichnuli tady prostě, že uvědomovat asi, jsem to udělal, ale pak ho zase jakože ovládnou prostě Jailer. Tady můžete vidět velice jako subtle věc, prostě můžete vidět, že mu prostě zmizíte oči najednou, si uvědomil, že zabil Paragona světla, nebo prostě něco, co reprezentuje světlo. Sám Anduin byl velice spojený se světlem, ne, spíše víte, vyučován, aby prostě chodil v cestě jak kdyby světla, a jenom si uvědomil prostě, co to udělal. Ale Jailer opět, ne, prostě ho chytnul za ten chytnul za obojek doslova, tyjo. A opět je pod kompletní nadvládou Jailera, prostě nemá šanci, jako. Jak je mocný, tak nemá prostě šanci. Tak. Nemá nejmenší šanci. A tady to je. To co píšete. Maraku, jenom klídek, nevím, co tě vytočila, to je úplně jedno. Takhle, tady to je. Vzal duši. Vzal vlastně hlavní duši, dalo by se říct, Bastionu, nebo prostě. Ono se zdá, že prostě oni, jednotliví ti vůdci, a Kerestia je tady mrtvá, by the way, Kerestia už je teď kompletně mrtvá, takže jednotliví ti vůdci mají vlastně nějaké marky.
Feel my master's limitless power and despair.
Já jsem vám říkal, že vám odprásne ten alert, ty vole uši, protože já mám moc zesílené, by the way, omlouvám se, ale resoby jsou hrozně hlasité. Tohle nebude ve videu, ale tyhle děkuji ti hrozně moc, Nuklenovský, děkuji ti hrozně moc, ruinuješ tady moment, ale děkuji ti za 12 měsíců, děkuji ti ty vole za 12 měsíců, za 1 rok, že tady sloužíš armádě smrti, děkuji ti moc, uživej emočku, uživej streamu a my jdeme tady pokračovat. Erik, přesně tak, omlouvám se za to. Každopádně zdá se, že všichni ti vůdci mají vlastně v sobě nějakou esenci, která drží Jailera právě v The Maw. A to se zdá, tak se to prostě zdá, že prostě oni musí být všichni poraženi na to, aby mohl být vypuštěn, a pokud bude vypuštěn, jenom se dozvěděli od Primuse, tak by mohli kdyby porazit arbitera, nebo arbiterku, co se nazývat arbitrini, a potom by se vlastně mohlo potom by vlastně mohl padnout celý Shadowlands. A nebo by celý Shadowlands mohl padnout pod celou nadvládu, jak kdyby Jailera, pod nadvládu Sylvana, společně s ním samozřejmě bude, ale ona je služebnice, a bude to úplně celé v hajzlu. Takže je možné vidět, i samotná Sylvanas začíná uvažovat, že asi neudělá to správně. Ona opravdu jako podrobila. Každopádně můžete vědět, že prostě on je služebníkem, nic víc, on prostě nemá svou vlastní vůli. Chviličku ji tam měli, zabil Kerestiu a to bylo úplně všechno. A Sylvanas není tak ovládána Jailerem, proto si uvědomuje, že to, co dělá, možná není úplně správné, chápu? Toto je velice zajímavý pohled. Co to je, to prostě... To jsou prostě chainy a co je ten svět nahoře, tyhle. Tak teď uvažuji. Ono víme, že se ještě nachází něco, možná je to jedna ze zón, je možná to prostě chainuté všemi těmi zónami, a to nějaký jak kdyby bod, kde může vidět do nějaké zóny, ale je možné, že je to je možné, že je to nová zóna úplně tohle. Nová mapa, je to možné. Každopádně evidentně činutý tady k téhle mapě. My víme, že původně existoval rift, který pohltil vlastně úplně celý The Maw, a tenhle rift byl kontrolován především kdyby Winter Queenou. To jsou zase spekulace, do kterých se nebudu rozvádět, protože tady byly další hodinu. A musíme se vrátit k fucking Blizzconu prostě. Ale jak můžete vidět prostě... No, tady je prostě nějaká zóna, bude to asi nějaká nová zóna, která se nachází v lokaci in between, nebo lokace mezi tím. Tohle z velkou pravděpodobností bude zóna, odkud pochází takzvaní devoureři, to je vlastně nová rasa, která byla představena v Shadowlands. To jsou takové ty modré bytosti, víte, to jsou takové ty devoureři, kteří mají takové ty modré portály. Tak na YouTube to asi uvidíte tam přímo, jestli si vzpomenu dát obrázek, ale prostě je to možné, tady budou ti devoureři a budou tam prostě různé bytosti. Nevíme opravdu, co tam je, každopádně můžeme vidět, že je to připevněno přímo k The Maw. Takže buď to asi bylo tak zanecháno, nebo bylo připevněno, když se ten The Maw roztrhnul, a tohle byla vedlejší část, která se roztrhnula vlastně, když to bylo polceno tím velkým vírem, kterou udržovala Winter Queena, vlastně Heart of the Forest, který se nachází v Ardenveldu, a tady potom bude ten nový content. Takže jenom vidět, bude to spíše nové, Chains of Damnation, tohle bude nová expanze, nebo ne nová expanze, nový patch, který bude právě pro Shadowlands, ten badově probírá. To se probíhá Hearthstone, co? Hearthstone, ty vole. Nebudem tady rozjíždět. Každopádně už, aby jsme se vrátili zpátky ke Blizzconu, tak jo, tohle by bylo, je můžete vidět, tohle byl kompletní rozbor, který tady opravdu mohl říct. Zajímá vás ještě něco ohledně tohoto? Zajímá vás nějaké jakože věci ohledně tohoto cinematiku? Ještě to můžeme rychle probrat. A já bych se do 5 minut chtěl vrátit zpátky do World of Warcraftu. Protože tam budeme mít více, chápete? Takže musíme urychlit ten rozbor. Nemůžeme opravdu slakovat. A prvně poslal Sylvana s tím mečem do Bezčnu. Prvně poslal Sylvana s tím mečem. On potřeboval nějaký vesl, on potřeboval něco. Hlavně on potřeboval někoho, kdo tu Kerestiu překvapí. Protože já si myslím, že ta Kerestia by možná ho dokázala porazit, hlavně se svojí armádou, kdyby byli připraveni, ty vole, že tam přijde Sylvanas, tak by bylo jakože no fucking way, připraví si celou armádu a prostě bude mít šanci. Každopádně takhle neměla šanci, takhle to bylo překvapení. Byl tady král, který Cleo třeba byl považován za normálního, oni se poznali, že to není opravdu on, že to není Anduin, ale taková Cleo to vůbec nepoznala. To to úplně zmátlo. Takže on využil toho momentu překvapení a zabil tím pádem tady tu Kerestiu. A co Athreus, jaká byla dohoda mezi ním a Jailerem, to zatím ještě nevíme, to nám zatím ještě nebylo oznámeno. A ona technicky je potřeba esence od Athreuse, jestli tak vezmu. Takže ono to bude celkem zajímavé, jestli zhradí opravdu Athreuse a jestli využije jeho síly na to, aby se dostal zpátky na aby se dostal zpátky do Shadowlands, nebo celkově na Azeroth, nevíme, jaké jsou opravdu jeho plány. Kdy bude končit season na Vovka? Zatím ještě nevíme. A chtěl jsem ještě koukat, co Anduin zabije i Winter Queenu. Hele, ne Anduin přímo. Já myslím, že on může použít více, kdyby takovýchto veslů, že nebude používat pouze Anduina, protože potom bude vědět, že Winter Queen jako, hele, to je Anduin, ty vole, ten už si jde pro mě, takže on bude mít asi nějaký plán, jak zabije i ostatní. Ale minimálně Anduin byl využit na to, aby zabil Kerestiu the Firstborn. Takže tak, a je to luxusní. Jak se prostě objeví ten meč, to je takový luxus. Hned tam Paragoni vás vypadě, hned zareagovali a neměli největší. Luxus. Ty Kyriány, že kdyby si zemřela, ale Kyriáni by měly stále existovat. Podle toho, co víme, tak ono se říkalo, že Kyriáni začnou pomaličku umírat, kdy vlastně Kerestia bude poražena. Každopádně, no, oni by měli furt existovat. Jako já opravdu nevím. Opravdu tady nám to není odhalené, jak bude ta rasa pokračovat, co bude prostě dál a jak to bude prostě vypadat, chápete? Takže to úplně nevíme, no. To úplně nevíme. Máte ještě nějaké otázky, by the way? Ta vlna vypadá jako síla, co použil Garrosh v Pandarii, nemá to spojitost. Garrosh v Pandarii, ty nevím, co myslíš přesně. Ne, to byla Sha, to bylo někdy úplně dávno, to byla vlastně Sha, která se nacházela v Pandarii, to bylo něco úplně jiného, to s tím má nic společného, ale tahle magie je velice podobná tomu, co Sylvanas použila proti proti Sourfingovi, takže tam je rozhodně spojitost. To je prostě síla Jailera. Každopádně jo, to by byl rozbor, jo, můžete vědět úplně celý rozbor a my budeme asi pokračovat v Blizzconu, jo. Jak to vypadá? Máme tady Hearthstone, jo, že tady máme Hearthstone, takže asi budeme pokračovat, ale je to luxusní, to je úplně luxusní. Čete, kolik tomu dáváte bodů? Prosím všichni překlikněte, dejte mi sledování, pokud mě náhodou nesledujete, kolik dáváte bodů tady tomuhle cinematiku, protože vy myslím, že nemůžete psát, jestli máte sledování, a kolik tomu dáváte. Já úplně fucking mindblown, ty vole, vypadá podobně jako Arthas, ale to je tím, že on je stejně jako Arthas služebníkem Jailera. Takže to je tím, to je jediný ten důvod, proč vlastně asi vypadá tak. Já si nemyslím, že je v něm přímo duše Arthase. Ale pokud je v něm duše Arthase, tak by to bylo velice zajímavé. A to ještě nevíme. To nebylo ukázáno, takže to vidím to skoro samé desítky, tyjo. Za to Utera. Ten Uter tam byl opravdu třešnička na dortu. Jako, jak tam procházel, on věděl, přece on zabil ho ty vole zabil ho služebník Jailera, takže poznal, že asi něco není správně. Ale čo byla ta jizva, která s něho udělala Force Form. To je velice zajímavé. A takhle, to mě taky překvapilo, prostě Klá, která má křídla. My jsme ji mohli vidět celou dobu bez šnu, bez křídel, jak nás vlastně doprovázela a sama se snažila kdyby očistit od všech věcí, které udělala. A nyní už je prostě Kyrianem, je prostě Ascended, to je úplný luxus. Jo, čete, to by bylo, to jsme měli, to by byl kompletní rozbor. Já děkuji moc všem, kteří sledovali tohle na YouTube, pokračování samozřejmě taktéž, že se bude v separátním videu na YouTube, ale samotný rozbor už tady bude končit. Děkuji všem za to. A ta Klea přežila, jo, Klea přežila, Klea nikdy neumřela, se nepletu. Ta byla furt naživu, tam nebylo, že by nějak umřela. Nebo umřela ve svém životě samozřejmě, ale poté se s ní stala samozřejmě Kyrianka. No, napište by YouTube, spíš napište by YouTube, už nepište hi YouTube, napište by YouTube. Tohle by bylo všechno pro celý tenhle rozbor. Mně sám za sebe se mi opravdu tady tohle líbilo, je to výborný cinematik, líbí se mi prostě ten plot twist, že prostě nyní Jill se pokusí zabít jak kdyby všechny ty jednotlivé vůdce všech světů, aby se mohl dostat vlastně z toho The Maw. Co vlastně lokace, ze které nemůže uprchnout. A tím pádem, tohle je konec. Děkuji všem, co tohle sledovali na YouTube. Dávajte na sebe pozor, hele, když to máme koronu, dávajte pozor na své zdraví a zatím se mějte. Uvidíme se u dalšího videa. A my tu jdeme pokračovat, jdeme to pokračovat Blizzconline, to bude na YouTube. Takže já jsem se tady udělat takový cut by the way. My tady zavřeme tady tohle, a jdeme pokračovat. Jsme tady u Hearthstone, jak vidím. Živě, proč to není živě? Dobré. Došli jsme na to nejlepší. Tak už buďte zase potichu. Přeskočili jsme Hearthstone, tyhle, přeskočíme Hearthstone, nějaký TBCčko. Nobody cares. Jdeme na Diablo. Klíč Primus ale asi nezíská. Hele, to uvidíme, možná je to Runecarver. Možná už od něho má část. O tom TBCčku řekli, nebo neřekli, já se nejsem jistý, myslím, že jsem to přeskočil do TBCčko. A já nevím, já jsem právě že neviděl, takže to se nejsem jistý. A Diablo, pojďme na Diablo.
After all, Diablo belongs to you as much as it belongs to us.
Potichu, co?
Most recently, we teased an update to our campfire screen. And savvy fans, of course, understood that we meant more than just the character lighting and fire visual effects. That's right. Today, we're happy to announce a brave new soul joining the barbarian, the sorcerer, and the druid on this dangerous journey back to Sanctuary. A class is one of the most exciting things you can announce in a Diablo game. This one is especially exciting to me, as it's a re-envisioning of one of the first classes to ever appear in the series. Let's have a look.
Buďte potichu, čete, buďte potichu. Nebuďte potichu, klidně pište. Se podívám na ten Blizzconline. Moc nahlas. To začne později, OK, máme tu Diablo.
No mercy.
Ale ty budou možná nahlas, já to slyším, to už to bude asi lepší. Diablo není taková věc, která mě tak moc zajímala, ve které budu úplně ticho, nebo budu to rozebírat. Zajímá mě, jak se vyvrbí. Pro Hocko, pokud ještě nebylo Hocko, tak nevím. Možná bude úplně na konci, no. Nevím. Nevím moc potichu, co? Budu potichu.
And granted mercy.
And granted mercy.
What are you doing here? This is not the time.
But this is confession. And I have sinned. I was a thief who stole from those more fortunate. I strayed from your light and found my trade in the shadows. They call it murder. I say, job well done.
Pořádný Brutus, ty vole. Pořádná řečka. Má být, tak to, o to má být Diablo. Sběratelka. True. To je taky pohled, jak se na to můžeš podívat.
Will Akara save me?
Dobrá, rogu na true.
You mock our light. But those monsters were a scourge upon my flock. And you were the answer to their prayers.
Then we are settled. And you owe me.
The name you seek is... Thank the heavens for you.
Heavens? I assure you, Father, the heavens didn't send me.
To je přímo ze hry. Včas byla. Takže tak. To je přímo ze hry, tady jsou nějaké záběry. Hrajte někdo takhle Diablo? Kdo to hraje Diablo? Já to nehraju Diablo, tak mi to moc nebude týkat. To je úplně jako zajímavý. Takže... Kdo to hraje Diablo? Kdo to hraje Diablo v chatu? Kdo to hraje Diablo? Jen se ukažte. Jedničku, ok. Tady je nějaká nová klasika. Zajímavý. Já jsem nikdy nehrál, já jsem říkal, že si Diablo 3 právě. Ale to bylo, hned na začátku to vyšlo. Vyzkoušel jsem a prostě nějak nechtěl. Já jsem hrál tu 2 5 rokou, vážně, ok. Já jsem nikdy do Diablo série opravdu jako nebyl. Mě to bylo nějak... Nevím, nechytlo. Jméno nechytlo, mě jsem toho dostal. Tady takhle, to je Diablo, ty vole, Diablo 4, přesně tak. Diablo 4. Není evidentně jediným kolektorem. Vypadá to, že... Spíš ten kněz je tím kolektorem, bych řekl. Neřekl bych, že zrovna ta Roguna. Ty vole. Perfect. Oh.
I feel like it's gonna haunt me for a long time. I've been a huge fan of the Rogue ever since the original Diablo. Even seeing them come back as NPCs and mercenaries in Diablo 2's Rogue Encampment served as a great bridge between the games.
Okay.
With the setting of Diablo 4 being a larger world than we've ever played in before, we're excited to show you not just what the successors to the original rogues in the series have been up to since the fall of their order, but also what some of the other rogues in the world of Sanctuary might look like. The mantra for Diablo 4 has been customization first, and the Rogue takes this to a whole new level.
Okay.
From the beginning, the Rogue has been an incredibly flexible class, able to adapt to any situation. Our goal is to let you create the kind of Rogue that you want to play. Okay. Whether it's an unrivaled archer, modeled after the original Sisterhood, or a cloak and dagger rogue from the darkest alleys of Chaldeum. In Diablo 4, you will have the freedom to create the rogue that you imagine by customizing the looks, the background, and the playstyle of your character. Please stick around for our segment later today, where I'll be joined by other members of the Diablo 4 team to share a closer look at the rogue class, as well as some of the open-world gameplay that we're bringing to the game. Spoilers, those severed ears are not just for show. Diablo 4 is not the only Diablo game we're talking about today.
Who cares? Čete, napište,
If you're looking for an authentic
Diablo Immortal, ty
Diablo
vole.
experience on
Buďme
mobile,
real, ty vole.
we've got
Buďme
you
real.
covered.
Diablo Immortal has everything you'd expect from a AAA action RPG. From the visceral combat and epic loot to an all-new story, bridging the gap between the events of Diablo 2 and Diablo 3. Later today, you can join the Immortal team, where they'll talk about some of the things they've learned from their recent alpha test and what's next for the game. But that's still not all. We have one last bit of very exciting Diablo news to cover.
Okay.
When you hear us talk about the classes, the items, or the stories of the early Diablo games, you may have picked up on the absolute reverent tone we reserve for that golden era of Diablo. Maybe you share that love of the classics, and just hearing us talk about them makes you want to take on Mephisto or Baal one more time. Or maybe even for the first time. After all, some of our favorite moments happened a long time ago, and not just in Sanctuary years.
Nemusí se bát. Všechny informace,
we have a special surprise for you today. Let's check it out.
A možná i celý tenhle záznam, to je úplně jedno. Na úplně celé to tady dám. Něco dalšího. Třeba bude tady tohle. Cinematic, actual cinematic.
Now you know what I seek, Marius. Are these the demons from Don't do it! It seems I'm not acceptable of it. Arise, Diablo, Lord of Terror.
Finding a job.
Though this be our darkest hour,
it
may yet be your greatest moment.
Mě Diablo nezajímalo, to vám mě nikdy nezajímalo. Ale... Yep, remaster Diabla. Remaster Diabla. Fucking there. I know, mě to nějaký nezajímalo. Remaster Diabla. Jo no, já jsem nikdy Diablo nehrál, musím se přiznat. Možná se je zahraju, ty zahraju se úplně poprvé. Každopádně vím, že lidi na to byli hrozně moc rádi. Takže to je velice pokojné. Ty vole, to je nice. To je velice nice. Ty vole. Hele, jako, čete, já nechci tady, být negativní, ale nezapomínejme na to, co stalo s Warcraftem 3. Měli jsme tady Warcraft 3 Reforged a snad to nedopadne tyhle stejně, snad to bude daleko lepší remaster. Myslíš? Já se nemyslím. Jako, uvidíme. Já myslím, že do toho Diabla jdou daleko více toho. To jdou daleko více jako, já vím, Warcraft 3 možná můžete... Já nevím, Warcraft 3 možná můžete považovat i větší než nějaký, kdo by z těch titulů Diabla. Možná se pletu. A se to tak posralo. Každopádně já doufám, že tohle bude dobré. Na druhou stranu, furt tu máme Warcraft 3, furt tu máme Reforged a na ten se úplně zapomněl. To doslova pohřbil celý žánr. Takže tak. Mám tě potichu já se snažím být, teď si budu trošku více potichu. A oni to mají hrozně potichu. Já už mám tak nahlas úplně alerty. Já to můžu ještě zesílit. Ale budu hrozně nahlas alerty, by the way. Vypněte alerty. Alerty furt jsou.
It takes the 2D sprite-based classic that we love and brings it into the present in 3D, utilizing up-to-date graphical rendering and lighting technologies. It also includes all 27 minutes of cinematics, recreated shot for shot, with the explicit intention of preserving both the look and the pacing of the original movies. Blizzard has a long history of games we're proud of.
Že jo, bude to lepší, a se to úplně napíču, chápete? Takže uvidíme to, jaké to bude.
As a definitive pillar in our foundation. Now, it's funny to think that some of you weren't even born when D2 was released, which makes it all the more important that we deliver an authentic experience wherever you play. We want everyone to relive their memories or experience the game for the very first time on their platform of choice. And so we're excited to bring Diablo 2 Resurrected to PC and console, along with cross-progression. For those of you who are in love with the original, and you just wish it worked more seamlessly on modern computers, you can bring back all of that nostalgia exactly as you remember, and enjoy the game in its original 2D form, much like we did with StarCraft Remastered. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about. Later today, Diablo speedrunner Mr. Llama will host a roundtable with members of the development team on the dedicated Diablo channel. If you are a Diablo 2 fan, I encourage you to take a look.
Okay. My se budeme dívat na World of Warcraft, by the way. Já jsem především World of Warcraft.
From Diablo 2 Resurrected, to Burning Crusade Classic, to the Blizzard Arcade Collection. It's a whole lot of looking back.
Spousta věcí.
And while we have teams dedicated to bringing these timeless experiences into your hands, it's actually a very small percentage of our developers working on these projects. Far more people are working on the future of Blizzard. And in addition, what we'll be talking about during the show, we can't wait to tell you even more about our plans over the course of this year and beyond. If you had asked us 30 years ago what gaming would look like today, none of us could have predicted the current Blizzard lineup of games. The advances in technology are one thing, but it's really what those advances have enabled that's even more incredible. Think about the people who play games and the communities that have grown up around them. The way people can connect instantly, no matter where they are in the world. The way people are increasingly able to express their identity and celebrate who they are through their favorite games, communities, and platforms. The explosion of things like streaming, cosplay, and esports. It would have been hard to imagine any of that 30 years ago. And at Blizzard, that is what excites us about the next 30 years.
Okay.
There is so much that we're working on. And some of it you already know about.
Okay.
The rest, we look forward to talking to you about it when the time is right.
All right.
Just like the real world, the worlds of Warcraft, Diablo, StarCraft, Heroes of the Storm, Overwatch, and Hearthstone are diverse, expansive, and full of potential. We are not only iterating on the experiences that you've come to expect from us, we're also exploring different ways to express our worlds and welcome more players from more places into them. And we aspire to continue to lead on priorities like accessibility, toxicity, and to continue supporting causes that have a positive impact on the real world. We want to continue to bring those same feelings of joy and achievement that we all felt when we first defeated the Lich King, or beat Diablo on hardcore mode. Because when we geek out on those experiences with others, we can't help but see the similarities between us and feel what's possible when we play together. Of course, there are new Blizzard worlds that we haven't visited quite yet. And when we do finally unveil those games and experiences, our hope is that you will see in them what we do. That no matter who you are or where you're from, they are spaces where you can create new stories, forge new friendships, and make memories worthy of lasting a lifetime. Through it all, our mission statement of being dedicated to creating the most epic entertainment experiences ever, along with our core values, led by gameplay first, will continue to guide our way. So on behalf of everyone at Blizzard,
no, uvidíme to, hele, upřímně, pokud poserou ten rework toho Diabla, tak ztratí tolik lidí. Jako oni už teď tak pojebali tyhle ten rework, tak je to kdyby fanoušků. Pokud poserou to Diablo, ty vole, ať je dobré prostě. Hele, možná bych si to aj zahrál, ty vole, kdyby opravdu lidi říkali, že je to dobré. Možná bych si někdy zahrál konečně Diablo. Já jsem nikdy Diablo nehrál, jsem trošičku trojku a to bylo úplně všechno. Takže tak.
Now, what's coming next for the show? Well,
World of Warcraft.
It depends on where you watch. For those of you looking for an update on Overwatch, check out the behind-the-scenes look into the development of Overwatch 2 over on their dedicated channel right after the conclusion of opening ceremonies.
All right.
There, you'll hear about Overwatch 2, new content, new features, including new maps, hero missions, talent trees, and more of what we think will make Overwatch 2 a unique gameplay experience. For World of Warcraft, Diablo, and Hearthstone, you'll get a closer look on their respective channels.
Okay.
And on the dedicated strategy channel, some StarCraft legends will be going head-to-head epic competition. Once again, welcome to Blizzconline. Be good to one another.
Diablo je bez však zložil nový žánr, to moc her... Jo. Diablo je bez, já jsem nikdy nehrál, ale vím, že je výborné. OK. Dobře. Čím tady toto? To je na obou kanálech, tak to je jedno. To je na obou, evidentně. Já jsem koukal právě, ale nevím, proč to mají tam tak napsané. Tady to je napsané úplně jinak. Tady máme kartu animace, by the way. Tady máme například Lost Vikings. Oh yeah. Já to prostě trošku nahlas ještě. Znáte Karpat animace? Karpat animace jsou úplně luxusní ty. Úplně luxusní animace. Jako oni mají tak dobré animace. Blackthorn. Oh yeah. For the Horde. Ty papkové, to jsou nejlepší. For Lorderon. Neslyším tu starou hudbu, ty vás budu. Máka stejně vždycky se naplakená. Máka vyštěnou Warcraft 2. Jo, to je ono, ty vole. Potom přišel ten, Knights of Darkness. Dvojku jsem vůbec otázky, neodezval úplně všechno. A jednička dvojka, no. Tady máme Diablo. Diablo Cardboard Animation. Can I do for you?
Your death will...
Nice. Vypadá perfektní. Nepochopím tady hodně mýmů, že tady hodně mýmů se týče Diablo Cardboard, to je Starcraft. Ale tohle je hodně mýmů okolo Diabla, když nehrou Diablo. Tohle je pro fanoušky Diabla. OK, nice. Je výborný animace, mi se hrozně líbí teda.
Morta Vespa Gaia Inu.
OK. To bylo dobré. Teraz je takové ta historie, jak kdyby těch her, to je zajímavé. Já si poznám tady ten krystal, ten červený krystal. Warcraft 3, tohle poznám, tohle nepoznám. Nejlepší hra ze všech, čete. Jedna z nejlepších strategie ze všech. Change my mind a já si myslím, že prostě Warcraft nejlepší. A ty tady World of Warcraft, přesně tak. Takhle to má být, ty vole. Musím se překliknout, že vlastně čas... Já budu se potom včas překliknout. Byli dán. Varto deličky. Tu máme tady druhou expanzi. Kataklizm. Poznáme. Třetí expanze.
Your time has come.
Pro který ho sundá. Spojím Kamehameha, ty vole. Tam přijde trošku animace to. Starcraft 2. Okay. Starcraft 2 vyšel po Motoloku, jo? Já jsem nikdy Starcraft nehrál, teba. Starcraft vyšel až po Motoloku, jo? No po Kataklizmu teda. Já vím, že taková historie kdyby. Já jsem nikdy nehrál, takže vůbec nevím. Já jsem jenom World of Warcraft guy, tyhle. Mě zajímá jenom věci hlavně World of Warcraftu. Takže tak. Jak je rychle recap těch expanzí. Jo, true, ty vole. Tě vletí tam ty vole, jo, to je Diablo 3. Vyletí tam ten, vyletí tam Illidan, to schramste prostě ten. Syndragoza. A najednou máme dvě expanze za sebou. Nice. To si pamatuju, jak byla to ten trailer, to bylo luxusní. Hearthstone. Výborný soundtrack. Uter. To je Heroes of the Storm, ne? Heroes of the Storm. Oh yeah. Proč to pohřbili upřímně, tyhle, nevím. Já pocit, že Karban dělá celý jenom jeden člověk. A já myslím, že už je to tým. On to dělá úplně jeden člověk a myslím, že už je to tým. Overwatch. Oh yeah. Ben Vegan. Myslím, že ten už je pryč, ty vole. Nice. Perfektní. OK. Kdyby Karbat a jeho brat, občas si zřejmě nějakou výpomoc. OK. To je zajímavé. Cedr. A kde jsou ostatní World of Warcraft expanze, jako? What the fuck? Vy tam jdou dvě expanze, tyjo. Budou tam 3 expanze, všechno, what the fuck? Je hrozné, tyjo. A ne, tyjo, výborné, opravdu výborné, můžu opravdu pochválit. Se Karbotu velice podařilo. Karbot jsou borci, tyjo. Oh yeah, jako tady birthday. Já bych měl pomaličku překlikávat, už to bude úplně jedno, tohle je World of Warcraft channel, tohle je na 100% World of Warcraft channel, takže tak. Blizzconline, ok, tady by to mělo být teda teď. Nevím, jestli bude pokračovat, bude to pokračovat nebo ne. Tady by to mělo pokračovat, jo. Tady už je World of Warcraft. Tu helmu musím mít, čete. Tu helmu musím mít, jo, tady by to mělo být. Deep dive, Warning Crusade deep dive, jo. Alright, let's fucking go. Vycházelo dobře, já jsem si právě myslel původně, tak nějak jinak.
Welcome everyone to our deep dive panel for WoW Classic. I'd like to start with some introductions with these fine gentlemen with me and myself. I'm Holly Longdale. I'm the principal producer for WoW Classic. A little bit about my background. I spent 13 years working on EverQuest. I started as a game designer and eventually became the head of the studio for the EverQuest franchise. That said, I've always been a WoW player since beta. So this is obviously a dream come true for me, and I'm thrilled to be here with you.
I'm Patrick Dawson. I'm the production director for World of Warcraft. I've been at Blizzard for 15 years now, and have been on WoW for most of that time. Avid WoW player myself, and really excited to open up that dark portal again as we all step through it.
And my name's Brian Birmingham, and I'm the lead software engineer on WoW Classic. I've also been at Blizzard for 15 years. I started on World of Warcraft. I spent about 3 years on Hearthstone as well, and then came back to the World of Warcraft team to work on WoW Classic. And it has been a great joy to me to work on this team.
There's a lot to talk about today. So earlier we announced, yay, Burning Crusade Classic is coming, but there's a lot more to it. Let's take a look at the features. I mean, I was so excited by playing Draenei and Blood Elves. I played both, and I will say my heart's with Alliance. And I also took up dual crafting on my Shaman. I wanted to corner the market. Just the whole notion of having items with sockets and just exploring that whole system. I'm also a bit of a systems nerd. So I completely lost my time for weeks in there.
Burning Crusade, I remember being there back then. I mean, it was our first expansion ever. So all the new features was like this really cool moment of like what's coming next, what's going to happen. And one of the things that was pretty impactful to the game was Horde having Paladins and Alliance having Shaman. I mean, as an avid PvPer myself, I remember going back and trying to fight Shaman. I was Alliance back then. And just not understanding that class at all, because my team didn't have it. So like I try to poly them and then be like grounding totem. I didn't know what that was. And it's just like, why are Shaman immune to everything? I don't understand.
That's not what you said.
Yeah, no, I did.
No, you said they're cheating.
I understood polymorph druids. Nice. But Shaman, why? Like now I started to understand Shaman a little bit better. We got some of their benefits. You know, I actually like got to see totems being placed on my side for once, and got to see the frustration of dealing with Bubble Hearth on the other.
Yeah, I remember when I was doing raids, we were always jealous of the Alliance having Paladins for Blessing of Salvation. Like people would be pulling aggro off me, and I'd be yelling at them like, "Wait for 3 Sunders!" And the Alliance is just like, "No, it's no problem. Just go."
So, hey, I mean, we were upset raiding like Razorgore without Earthbind. I mean, it really even the playing field for both PvE and PvP, which was kind of cool. But there were a ton of new features and just abilities with this too. As we got to level 70 and got to experience new things.
Pokud byste chtěli mít následování, budu velmi rád. Jsem veliký fan Marvelovku. My to budeme rozbírat celou World of Warcraft, takže kdybyste chtěli, budu velmi rád. Uvidíte se na období, nejsou tak hlasité alerty, takže je to v pohodě.
And I was playing my class, avid player of the age, and I sent this long email to Tom Shelton saying like, hey, here's what made me.
Dawson Manifesto.
It's a well thought out forum post. Invisibility, let's get threats up in the class, and I didn't even necessarily tie those two together. That's pretty good. And just knowing that skill was coming along with some other new stuff for mages like the Molten Armor, the Ice Lances. It was just really cool to see all this new stuff.
On the other side of that, I was really excited about spell auto-reflect because I was really frustrated with polymorphed and being able to like reflect that back on the mage.
On je to furt malé, on to nejde velká hra, jsme to asi budeme, to přesně pletu, ale i tak je to velice dobré, jo.
And there were even some PvP
bude mě dokonce i svoje vlastní helmy, já to mám mrazivý smutek, jo. Já to tady mohl vytáhnout. Čekaj, mám vytáhnout můj mrazivý smutek. A čo mám tu spoustu lidí, ty vole, nikdo neviděl, že jo. Jako meč to tady mám, spousta lidí, jo. Ale ty vole, budu mít dokonce helmu, chápete, mrazivý smutek jako meč. Ano, už je po 10. hodině, co mi to je jedno. Ale no, chápete, prostě meč, železný meč. Tak, špatný kanál. Jednám, klidně můžu, ty vím, že to spousta lidí nově. Já budu mít za chvilku helmu, neho ve slipech, to je na jinou stránku, to si necháme pro jindy. Já ale budu mít možná svůj vlastní helmu, že budu mít nějakou helmu, která přijde dát prostě oblast a budu mít koordinačně ty veličky. Vypadám asi děti spí, kterou můžu být takový
to play against equal-minded opponents, right? So if you were a little bit more casual, you get the opportunity to play against people who are maybe some competitive. Or if you were like cutting edge, go for it, like try to be the best of the best. And what was great about that is it really just spawned an esport. Like that wasn't, we didn't design it for that. We just wanted people to have fun. But when we noticed, like, hey, everybody's playing this, everybody's like competing in this, people are watching it, we had to embrace that. We started featuring it at Blizzcon, and we've been doing it every year since.
Yeah, it was really awesome. I think one of my favorite things to recollect was the exciting zones that you would travel through. One of my favorite memories was actually in the first zone, Hellfire Peninsula, and it was adventuring around in Hellfire Peninsula, going around and doing all this quests, and always living in fear of Felder. Because you'd be out there collecting parts from like a broken Zeppelin, and you'd be fighting off your Hellboars, and then all of a sudden you'd see the screen start to shake, and like these thump, and then... And you're like, oh my god, I know he's right on top of me.
Sounds still wants my dreams.
Oh, I know, yeah, it's terrifying.
Tu helmu vám můžu ukázat, počkej,
And then the payoff when you later go to Netherstorm and they give you the quest, they're like, could you get me a part from inside the Felder? You're gonna have to kill him. And you're like, that guy? Like that guy that used to terrorize me? They're like, yeah, I think you could take him. That was such an exciting payoff.
On je to in-game. A možná to bude mít ještě něco dalšího, ale já bych ještě nepředbíhal. Možná to bude ještě něco dalšího.
I snuck into beta. I got really lucky because I could see the construction sign for some of the zones, and of course I ignored it and went and explored. So I remember running through Blade's Edge and just seeing dragon carcasses and skeletons impaled in the environment, and then moving on to Netherstorm. I just was blown away, even from Zangermarsh all the way through. Everything felt like its own world, and just be able to go through that, and just the delight of it, and the epicness of it, and then you come up to Area 52. That's what I love about WoW, is you can have epic storylines and still find lightness in it. So I just loved it. I loved it. I'm an explorer. So.
You know, for me, I remember Burning Crusade really opened up a new gameplay type for me. I became a collector.
Já se možná půjdu pro pitíčete. Já se půjdu pro pití. Takže máte TBCčko zatím, poslouchejte.
I got my outer rep all the way up, and then I was thinking about switching to Scryer, and people were like, "You're insane! Don't do that." And I was like, "I bet I can." You know, just and I did, and it was cool. It was really fun. But then I started doing other things. Like there were all these new like mounts and pets, and I went back and even got some of the older reps like Thorium Brotherhood and Winterspring. But then like things like Netherwing Ledge came out. The world just opened up for me in Burning Crusade to really start my collection.
Of course, we also had flying mounts, which I loved, and then decided to play with some friends on a PvP server, and was running around Hellfire, and Death from Above, which is likely just Pat.
Probably.
Yeah.
You were flying around harassing people, Pat?
I was getting a lot of honorable kills back in the day.
So that's just a quick look at some of our memories for Burning Crusade, and that was 13 years ago. Mm-hmm. So that code has been hanging around for 13 years. And we're not just doing a save as Burning Crusade Classic.
Oh no, it's a lot harder than that.
Yeah. So let's get into some of those details.
So one of the challenges has been that we don't actually want to ship on the old code. And the reason for that is because it's got a lot of bugs and difficulties with the architecture that we don't want to have to deal with. But we do want that old data. And we talked about this when we did the original launch of Classic, was how the data is really the thing that describes how the game is supposed to be played and what things are supposed to happen in it. And so we want to bring that old data and we want to run it on the modern code, the same as we did for Classic. And there's like 750,000 rows of data that we have to go through and convert from their old formats to their new formats. And fortunately, we have really talented engineers, and we run automated scripts that go through this. But even after we run these scripts, we have to compare them with, with how it used to behave and make sure we've actually done the conversion correctly. And then there's even some things that are making it more difficult this time, like the fact that we've made a couple of minor changes or bug fixes in the classic data. And we want to make sure that we keep those as we're going into Burning Crusade. So we have to merge those changes with the changes that happened with the Burning Crusade originally, and make sure that we have a coherent set of changes that make sense to bring us from Classic into the Burning Crusade.
There's an enormous amount of time spent looking at, okay, this is how it came out now. We have a reference client that is the original.
That's right, we do use the old code for that. So like we still have it, we just don't want to ship on that anymore. But we have like the old code with the old data, knows exactly how it's supposed to behave. So those things work together, and we can bring that up internally and take a look at it and say, like, okay, this is how it was back then. This is exactly what it was like. And we do sometimes find things that are bugs we still want to fix, but a lot of times people tell us, like, oh, this thing is not a bug. This is actually
bral bych tohle další cinematik, uvidíme se nějaký další cinematik, a nebo jestli ne, to se dozvíme potom, až to bude ten deep dive, tak to uvidíme.
I remember it being like this, and it's like, no, it's not always exactly the way you remember it. Everybody has that kind of human failing, even us, and so a lot of times we'll have an argument about, I remember it this way. Well, I remember it this way. Let's go and check. We can look.
Well, you know, another reason to ship on the new code is really just the years of stability, improvements, and the fact that the world didn't look the same back in 2007 as it does today. Like, there wasn't cloud architecture at that point. I remember I had the privilege of being on the live ops team where I got to see what all the servers looked like and how it was all architected. And to pull back the curtain on this a bit, the way it was is everything was its own server, right? Like, they didn't really talk to each other very well. So each realm had 11 blades on it, and these blades were just bare metal blades, and like one blade was for Azeroth, one blade was for Kalimdor, one was for Outland, and then we had some for instances. And you know, back then, what would happen without cloud is you would try to request resources, and maybe a lot of people were running dungeons. And so we get back things like transfer aborted instance unfound.
Vysvětlují tyhle věci, kterou vysvětlili dříve, a to je právě, že to je takové otravné, to je pravda. Každopádně pro nějaké hráče, které opravdu zajímá TBCčko, tak proč ne? A nebo dnes slyšeli to, co bylo na klasiku, jen třeba říkal o tom, jak zapálil sebe ten systém a jak to všechno jde do sebe prostě, jak to bylo dříve. To nám bylo vysvětleno na klasiku. Jak ti, co to viděli, tak si jsou toho vědomi.
The team gets together, we're preparing for a playtest, and we go to create our characters, and we see this blood elf who, you know, he remembers the sun well. He forgot his pants.
Yeah.
So everything didn't work the first time?
I know.
Yeah, I did mention, like, we had to go through and check for problems.
Já tady chvilku odběhnu, ty už vynechám minut, to je hrozné. Prostě já doslova, ty vole, sleduju celý Blizzcon, na minutku odběhnu, na 20 vteřin, ty vole, a je tady news, to je hrozný.
You can see if you look at his calves, you can see that he's got
perfektní, tam nic není, by the way, tam nic není. Já znám ty modely, i bez toho nic tam není. Carlos, tam je Carlosa.
And then we layer on various images that we call textures, and we use those to build up a single composite texture that's then wrapped around the geometry. But of course, in this case, when we were layering them on, none of the textures were assigned. So it just started with his naked body, and then was going to go layer on textures and didn't find any.
Tam je právě problém, že už to vysvětlili v klasiku. Kdyby to nebylo vysvětleno v klasiku, v třetí news už tady vidím, kdyby to nebylo jakože v klasiku, tak by to bylo něco jiného. Ale oni se o tom bavili, ovšem tady tomto. Prošel si, jo, už jsem to viděl, to jsem viděl znovu, takže v pohodě.
Because that's where my heart lies. I'm an Alliance girl. And this Draenei looks to be heads above the rest.
That's not the Exodar.
Yeah.
No, definitely not.
Exodar,
it is, and that's exactly the problem. It looks like the Draenei's too tall, but the real problem is that we're in the wrong place. And so, yeah, when you go to the Dunmorrow character select screen, of course, the camera's positioned for much shorter races like gnomes and dwarves. And so it's about knee-high on a Draenei.
Takže tak.
And then water.
Se budou bavit,
really
tady budou hodně dlouho kecat.
Yeah, so it turns out that Outland has a funny, unique feature that it doesn't have any ocean. Because the water just all falls off the edges and goes out into space or something like that. I'm not sure how that works in the game universe, but yeah, there's no ocean there, but we had accidentally
máme tu trošku lore, actually the Reynold byl roztříštěn, byl vyzvednutý do Twisting Netheru. Celá ta planeta, actually už tam nebyla planeta, která by měla gravitaci a z toho důvodu vlastně tam není žádná voda,
after
a všem voda, která tam původně byla, tak se úplně vypařila. Potom prostě pozveme to do stejné druh a všem voda se úplně vypařila. Takže jo, no, to tady nedoplníš z lore, to doplním já. Ty nevíš, že existuje nude patch na chlapy? Já vím, že existuje tolik nude patchů. Všechny jsem jich teda.
Our guiding principle was no change.
A zagrál jsem co bude nového v Reakelu. To zatím nevíme, to bude od 35 se nepletu. Od 35 by tam měl nějak kdyby začít. Bude to do 1 hodiny maximálně.
Interesting to me is to see this vibrant community that embraced it and then said, hey, but we're not exactly the same as we were.
Zatím ještě nevíme. To je taková kecečka, no. Je nudná ta kecečka, určitě je nudná ta kecečka. Neříkejte nic zajímavého, jako opravdu.
Not great and were warts back in the day is not something that we would want to ship again. Like something that feels a little buggy or wrong or incorrect. So the idea behind this is let's provide what the Burning Crusade experience was without those warts.
Kdy dostaneme release date, ty vole? Co kdybychom dostali release date? To by bylo daleko lepší.
We actually had a lot of requests originally for spell batching in that kind of no changes charge, where they said, hey, I remember when I used to be able to have two names polymorph one another, and they would both end up polymorph.
Napište jedničkou, pokud ano, a dvojku, pokud ne.
Okay, well, we can put that back in. But
napište jedničkou, pokud se těší na TBC, a nebo dvojku, pokud ne.
But over the last 2 years, people realized that what that comes with is about a half a second of kind of built-in latency where you push a button and it doesn't actually take effect for that half a second while it's waiting to queue up the other ones to go with it. And people were starting to find that frustrating. I talked to a lot of people who said they were excited about it when it first came out with Classic, but after they've been playing with it for 2 years, they're really ready to see it go, and we're ready to take it out too. So we're going to remove spell batching with Burning Crusade.
That's definitely great, because I remember like every 2 weeks I'd get a bug report, Vanish is broken again. And it was because of stuff like this, right? Like if you vanish at the same time a fireball's hitting you, it's going to pop you out, right?
Exactly.
Like, and so we were trying to do all these tacky solutions to it, but the real answer is just don't spell batch.
Yeah.
But we didn't have the ability to do that then, so glad we're doing it now. Another one that I can think of is just how the rating community is, right? Like things were very different back in 2004, 2005 timelines compared to today. So you know, the rating community knows exactly what's going on, and they want a challenge. They want more of a challenge. So you know, rather than always giving them like the last version of the boss, the final form of the boss, which maybe has been hit with a few nerfs, let's not do that anymore. Let's give them a more challenging version of the boss. I'll give you an example of like Muru, right? Where the initial version of that boss had a lot of spell pushback. And so, like, that made it really tough to bring casting classes to that fight. We did fix that pretty quickly and change the fight to allow for that. Now, that's a change we probably would incorporate in this, right? Like, we don't want people to feel excluded or not part of being able to do a fight like that. But then, probably a month or so after that, we nerfed Muru's health. Let's just keep it in the hard form. We can evaluate any changes we need to make after that, but yeah, it won't just be like, hey, final form, we're not even going to look at it. Let's call it a day. So.
Yeah. So how did your mage handle the pushback?
I just
it feels personal, yeah.
No, I was the raid leader, so I got
the one mage allowed to go.
That was so cool. Honestly, that's one of my favorite fights ever in World of Warcraft. That was a really, really fun fight.
That's awesome. Another change that we're talking about making is along the lines of that PvP balance and faction balance is, you know, obviously with Burning Crusade, Paladins are introduced to the Horde and Shamans are introduced to the Alliance, and that was intended to be a balancing of the factions and let's, you know, make them even. And then they wanted to kind of keep a little bit of flavor of that faction identity, so they kept Seal of Blood on the Horde and Seal of Vengeance on the Alliance. It was intended to be equivalent power abilities that were just slightly different in flavor, but in retrospect, Seal of Blood was just so much better. And so one of the changes that we are going to make is we are going to give the opposite factions Seal to the other faction, but we're going to do that at next level. So we keep just a little bit of that faction identity, where Horde gets Seal of Blood at level 64 on schedule, and then get Seal of Vengeance at level 70. And similarly, Alliance will get Seal of Vengeance at level 64, and then their equivalent, Seal of the Martyr, at level 70. Another thing we want to talk about is arena teams. When it first came out in Burning Crusade, the arena team system only let you have the same number of players on your team that was the size of the bracket it was for. So, for example, a 3v3 team could only have 3 players on the team. So if someone was like sick or unavailable one night, you couldn't play. And that felt really frustrating. So we're definitely going to go with like the last version of that, where you could have twice the size of the bracket on your team roster, so that you had alternates you could swap in and out. And then that way, as long as anybody had participated in, I think, 30% of the matches, then they got the full credit for the week of participation.
Is that when we did personal ratings versus team ratings?
I think that came later, and we're also considering whether or not we want to do something with that as well. Because another thing that was problematic about Arena Split was the way that the ELO system was so inflationary. And so we're talking about whether or not we want to move forward with converting that to something more like the modern MMR system.
To je taky takový rozhovor, já to nevím, jestli tam budu doma dávat, jo. To je taky takový rozhovor, to mi přijde takové nudné, jo, nevím. A jo, tam popisují trošku více, jo, díváš se tam na tu hru přímo. Koukám na to tam, ale já nechám asi tohle, necháme tohle. Na té kvůli World of Warcraftu. Pokud se chcete dívat na debil nebo cokoliv většího, tak klidně můžete. To je pouze na vás. Není? Vážně jo? Že tam prostě se o tom bavili, to tady mají.
It's really cool.
Okay. Já to nechám tady, Všichni jsou tady pro World of Warcraft. Pokud se chcete dívat na Diablo, tak se běžte koukat někam jinam, ale tady se koukám na tohle. Skip, jak tam všichni píšou skip. Ale tak dáme nějaké s tím téma. Já nechci zase moc hlasitě mluvit, tak se nejsem mluvit trošku více poděku. Už začínáme celkem pozdě večer, každopádně brzo ráno.
So the content phases that we got coming are exciting. We're going to start with Karazhan and Gruul's Lair and Magtheridon's Lair. And we want to start with just that release because we found that people really enjoy that kind of gear progression. And that's where all the tier 4 gear is.
Ale jo, chtěl jsem říct, ty vole, představte si, že jste v jejich kůži. Představte si, že prostě jste jeden z těch tady 3, co tady jsou a všichni vám tam prostě říkají skip, ty vole. Imagine, si prostě přečtete a vidíte jenom ten chat, ty vole, jenom skip a co říkat, ty vole, to musí být vážně nudné, ten náš rozhovor. To je hrozné.
Which is Hyjal and the Black Temple.
A je rozdělit ty části, to možná nejde takové nudné, počkat.
Was available from the launch of Winter Crusade, but nobody could really get in there because of the way the tunes work. So we'll
to je hrozně nervózní, to jsem si všiml, že hrozně nervózní, se vůbec nedivím. Tak je to velká věc.
And then Arena Season 3 will come out alongside Zulaman with a little bit of catch-up gear for anybody who's taken that long to catch up. It's another smaller instance, a 10-man. And then finally Phase 5 will be Sunwell and Arena Season 4.
It's been a very busy year.
It is. It's an expansion with a lot in it.
Yes. So we spent a lot of time talking about Burning Crusade Classic and Burning Crusade, which is exciting. We're very excited about it, but there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot coming.
To je pro Voznext, tam píšou nervkon Vogel Spirit.
Well, yeah, really the question is, we have a diverse player base where people have a lot of different wants and needs. And how do we get there?
To je hrozné, nevadí. Chtěl jsem říct, že vlastně to, že tohle pro TBCčko. Potom, jak moc dostaneme, kdyby Shadowlands, to by mělo být nějak okolo 40, možná 45, možná 35, nejsem si jistý. Tak by to mělo být vlastně Voznext pro Shadowlands. Mám pocit, že oni nevidí chat.
As we said earlier, you're going to be able to make a choice. So we'll talk about and explore these choices in some detail. So to start with the current servers you're on now, Classic Live servers, are going to become what we're calling progression servers. And what that means is the servers that are live now will always unlock any expansion we release. So when we get to our patch day, you're going to be presented with a choice. Do you want to continue on into the Burning Crusade, or do you want to move to Classic? So in that space, you're going to do that for every single character. So for my example, I'm on Warm Rest Accord. So I've got a level 60. I am definitely taking that on through to Burning Crusade. But I've got a couple of mid-levels that I know I want to move with my friends. Those are characters I level with my friends in Classic and want to continue that journey with them. We want to make it as easy and seamless as possible to just get right into Burning Crusade.
A hádám, že když to vezmeme prostě do Burning Crusade, to samozřejmě nemůžete vrátit. Takže si prostě vyberete, chcete jít do Burning Crusade s těmi postavou, a nebo nechcete. To je velice zajímavé řešení, actually. A to zajímavé
they're interested in playing the Burning Crusade. This was, for a lot of people, their favorite expansion that we've done. We want to make sure that those people are served too. And one of the ways we could do that is provide a boost to people who are interested in coming back, that maybe aren't interested in doing the classic WoW experience, but really want to hop right into Outland as quickly as possible.
Yeah, so the team, we spent quite a bit of time discussing it because we want to make sure we respect the time of the people that have been playing Classic for 2 years. But also, we want people to be able to enjoy Burning Crusade if they loved it the first time and maybe miss Classic. So we are going to offer a level 58 boost for purchase, but it does come with some restrictions. So it's going to be one per account. It's not going to be usable on Blood Elf or Draenei. It'll have some dungeon blues. It'll have level 40 mount skill, no professions, the basics. Basically your Outland starting kit.
That's cool. That's a really great way to jump into the game for me. Look, I know a lot of people came back to play WoW Classic, and that's all they want. That's all they ever wanted. They're like, you know what, Burning Crusade, that's awesome. I'm sure some people are going to love that, but for me, I came back for WoW Classic. What do they get to do? What's their options?
Yeah, that was really important for us too. So we had all sat down and discussed like how we should frame this. So when we get to our patch day, which is prior to the Dark Portal opening, when I said before, like, I'll go back to my example for Wormrest, we will be launching Classic Era Realms at the same time as we do our patch, and you will have that choice. So when you make the choice to go to Burning Crusade Classic, or you make the choice, like on my example, my level 40 Druid, I want to move that character to Classic Era. And what Classic Era means is that those particular servers are going to stay in that era forever. So that is going to remain classic till the end of time. It's never going to unlock expansions. You'll be able to make that choice for every single character. Do you go on to Burning Crusade, or do you choose to go to Classic Era? Let's say, you know, you're behind the times a little bit, you'll still be able to have that choice.
Takové nebo prostě Classic jsou zadarmo a potřebuješ z toho vymilkovat aspoň nějaké peníze a tím ztratí, já si myslím, že tím ztratí prostě spoustu lidí. Upřímně, jako. I když je pravda, že oni, no, lidi jakože, no, z jejich pohledu je to asi daleko lepší. Nebo tady říkat, tyhle, že se vyznám, tyhle, co je dobré rozhodnutí, dát tam tyhle něco zaplaceno, nebo ne, prostě něco jako je třeba boost, ale asi to je pro nich dobré, tyhle. Vím, že to odradí spoustu lidí. Prostě boosty odradí spoustu lidí. Ale jak jsem to řekl, já jsem říkal vždycky dříve, já si myslím, že prostě Classic byl ten největší hype a myslím, že už nic ani TBCčko, ani Votolek nebude mít takový hype, jako byl originální Classic. Tak to prostě bude, tam přeji si boosty, což hodně lidí odradí. Takže tak.
I know like copy's a big deal. So like you said, like this is something we don't want to make just an automatic choice for everybody. But I know that for me it really is going to be like that pull to go to both places. So I want to be able to say like, you know what, I'm willing to pay some money for this. I want a copy of my character that lives in Classic Era forever, while I also go to Burning Crusade with that character. And that way I can stay with my friends who are really excited to go to Karazhan. I'm really excited to go to Karazhan. I want to see my hunter go through Karazhan, but if I'm missing like a couple pieces of my tier 3 set from Naxxramas, I still have an opportunity to go find a new guild there and go through Naxxramas again until I finish that set.
We're going to be spending a lot of time communicating these details, so even as much detail as we're giving now, it's very high level. There's going to be a lot more detail to come, so diminishing return, prostě chápete, prostě Classic byl největší hype, TBC bude menší, a myslím, že tím pokem to ještě o to více zabili. Budu mít to více, asi určitě, a potom bude ještě od toho mít ještě menší. A je možné, že na to se hodně lidí vrátí. Na druhou stranu od toho se hodně lidí hrálo, takže možná o tom nebude mít takový zájem. Takže on to opravdu záleží. Jenom, jestli to bude opravdu tak, nebo ne. Já si myslím, že prostě Votolek bude mít menší hype než TBCčko. A TBCčko bude mít menší hype než Classic. To je můj názor.
We'll start to hear some feedback on the things we've talked about today. If there's any adjustments we need to make, we want to make sure we have a long enough beta period for that to happen. And then we'll get that out to the players so we can all enter the Dark Portal.
Yay!
Yeah,
to vypadá, že tak do 35, no. Takže
další. Any final
vlastně 35, to přímo napsáno, já jsem Pepega. Ale můžete vědět, že vlastně do 1 hodiny to bude ten deep dive. To je to, co nás zajímá. To tady ještě budu streamovat a potom budu končit, na to se pokoukneme, mě velice zajímá.
A tremendous success also. So please get in that beta, play, give us your feedback. We want to hear all about it. So enjoy, welcome, and let's have some fun.
Yay!
Yeah, and it's been the highlight of my professional career to work on WoW Classic and have the support and love of this community. It is really special to me, and I'm really excited to be sharing this with all of you in the Burning Crusade.
Yeah, and for me, I've been playing Classic since it launched. And I wasn't working at Blizzard then, and it's changed my life,
some changes.
So from me and the entire WoW team, we want to thank you for bringing Azeroth to life for us. So we will definitely be seeing you in game in whatever flavor you choose. And until then, stay classic.
A je. To jo, vypadá, že to bude to zajímavé. Čete, do 1 hodiny by to mělo být to zajímavé, takže nějaké novinky z Shadowlands. Uvidíme, co tam bude. A OK, samozřejmě konec, máme samozřejmě tohoto. Mountíka, obviously, Snowstorma. Všichni víme, jo. Kdo se už koupil? Koupil jste si ho? Já už jo. Posádlík v Shadowlands? Bude. A o tom jsme se měli dozvědět více. OK. Reklama, perfektní.
It's time.
Co říkáte, nebo bylo to už uvítané tohle? Prostě reklama, chápete? Nice.
Finn? Wait, what?
Wow. To jsem myslím viděl, to už dříve, to je stačí reklama. Takže tak. To je dobré, by the way, to je hrozně dobré.
I'm in. Oh, I'm so in.
Okay. Okay.
I knew you'd call.
Já to tady projet, jo, nechám to projet. Co má vyjádřit? A ty hodor.
About bloody time. Axes. Heroes.
Perfektní.
Magic.
Another one. Christian. It's been ages.
Nice, ty vole. Not working. Perfektní. To něco říkal, ty byl nějaký za streamer, něco říkal. Oh yeah. No zajímavé, prostě reklama, ty vole. Tomi, děkuji za sledování. Sound the Horn. OK. Sound the Horn, ty vole. Měli jsme tady reklamu. A teď by to měl být Shadowlands update. Jak můžete vidět, Make of the Wandering. Ancient Mount, máme potom ten Ancient Mount. A teď tady je toto. Je to tady. Čete, je to tady. Let's fucking
Hey everybody. So excited to be here with all of you to celebrate 30 years of epic entertainment experiences from Blizzard. And of course, out of all of those, the one that's nearest and dearest to my heart is the World of Warcraft expansion, Shadowlands. And that's what we're here today to talk about.
Yep. Ty vole, tady je to jsme chtěli.
The development experience for Shadowlands over the course of last year was unforgettable for all sorts of reasons. But it's also something that really has taught the team, taught all of us a lot of lessons about World of Warcraft and how we can make the game better for all of you going forward. Because Shadowlands wasn't just the product of our development team's efforts last year, it was a product of your efforts as well. It was the product of a conversation between us, the development team, and all of you, the players, the community, who inhabit this world that we're the custodians of. The beta for Shadowlands started earlier than any beta for a past expansion that I can recall. And over the course of last year, we had tons of folks in our beta giving us feedback, reporting bugs. But we also had even more people just in the community in general, following developments, following updates, watching YouTube videos, chiming in on Reddit threads, on our forums, on social media, everywhere else, letting us know what was exciting, what was concerning, what you didn't understand, what you were worried about, what you were happy about, and more. And all of that helped shape Shadowlands, and I could not be more proud of where we ended up. And it's been amazing seeing everyone jumping into this new world that we've crafted together and having an amazing time over the last couple of months. That's a conversation, that's a process that I would like to carry forward into 2021, and for that to be a baseline for how we build World of Warcraft going forward. So, as we're here today talking about the next major update, what you're going to hear about shortly is where we're headed in terms of the world, in terms of the story, in terms of these epic characters we've just been introduced to, major villains like the Jailer and Sylvanas, and what's up with Anduin anyway. But we're going to talk a bit less, however, about systems. We have tons to share there, but the way we need to work on our systems, as we've learned, is, of course, by first seeing how they're playing out in your hands. We couldn't really plan what we were going to do with legendaries, or where Torghast was going to go, or what was going to change about soulbinds, without having the experience of millions of players dealing with those systems and letting us know what you think. And so I am pleased and excited to say that when we look at our systems, unlike in some past expansions at this point, we're not seeing anything that needs to be completely overhauled or replaced. What we see are solid foundations that are in many cases in need of iteration, and upon which we can build a structure that will sustain us throughout the entirety of Shadowlands to come. So that's a conversation that's going to come when our public test realm goes live, and we'll have lots more information to share with you there. Now, what we are going to talk about, and boy do we have a lot of exciting stuff for you, is the first major content update for Shadowlands.
Okay.
Let me turn it over to my colleague, Jeremy Fiesel, who can tell you all about it.
Hi everybody, I'm Jeremy Fiesel. I am a designer on WoW, and it is my pleasure to get to introduce to you today a first look at what's next for World of Warcraft Shadowlands.
Okay.
So let's talk a little bit about what we've accomplished so far. The champions of Azeroth have stepped foot in this otherworldly space known as the Shadowlands, the afterlife for all souls from Azeroth and beyond. Within the Shadowlands, we have met new allies, and we've fought a ton of new and interesting new enemies. We've joined covenants, and we've gained great power. And in this time, we have been able to deal with some of the immediate threats to our new covenant allies. We have taken down the Gorm and the Drust in Ardenweald, and the Forsworn in Bastion, and ultimately, we've been able to add some stability back to each of our new allies' home zones. Within the Shadowlands, we have also been able to help out many of the denizens that are undergoing this major lack of anima by sending anima back out into the world, reinvigorating both our allies as well as the military forces of each of our covenants, so they can take the fight back to their enemies. And as a culminating element to all of these things, we've been able to take out one of the jailer's main lieutenants, the traitorous Sire Denathrius in Castle Nathria. And yet, behind all of these things is the looming, dark and mysterious figure of the jailer. So what do we really know about the jailer's dark designs up until this point? Well, we know that the jailer is in charge of the Maw, a dark and forbidden place that we can't spend even a moment too long in before getting unceremoniously swept out by the jailer's forces. We know that the Maw has had this huge influx of souls, allowing the jailer to gain massive amounts of power, as well as anima, thanks to the actions of Sire Denathrius. This has allowed the Maw to grow in great proportions, something we've been able to physically see just by looking out past Ouroboros into the darkness. In addition, every time we have tried to step foot into the Maw, we've been watched unmercilessly by the eye of the jailer. We've never been able to get a solid foothold there. We have spent some time in Torghast, the Tower of the Damned, and we've rescued some very prominent souls. But again, we've never been able to get a solid and consistent foothold there and make any real progress. The jailer remains this mystery of the Shadowlands, and exactly what his dark designs are for the afterlife are still unknown. This is the story we will be investigating in our first major content update for World of Warcraft Shadowlands, entitled Chains of Domination. Now you can imagine with a name like that, we're going to be very centered around the jailer's forces and his plans. What do him and his champion Sylvanas have in store for the rest of us? And how does this influence our allies in Ardenweald, in Bastion, and elsewhere? The jailer will make his first attacks, showing his hand, and we'll be forced to defend our brand new allies, as we see what the jailer's designs for the Shadowlands truly are. Let's take another look at that cinematic, showing what fate has in store for Anduin in Chains of Domination.
Look around you! What makes you believe you're not just a weapon?
Join our cause, or be made to serve.
Right now, you hold all the power. Make your choice.
Make your choice. Ale Sylvanas nakonec vybral, ty vole, že ho zabila. Evidentně, zdánlivě. Bude to nové, nebo to nebude nové? No, to je to stejné. Come on, Blizzarde, ty vole, fuck off. My jsme tady jednou měli, ty vole. Blizzarde. My tady jednou měli. Jsi děláš prdel, come on. Jsem čekal nějaký nový cinematik. Takže to bude mít něco lepšího, ty vole. Aspoň budou těch 30 minut využít na to, aby to okecávali, nebo něco okolo toho říkali, ty vole. A oni tady znova prostě nestají. Ok, já to vsadu, ty vole. Hele, podívej se na to, je to luxusní cinematik. Takže proč ne? Potřebuji eventuálně zaplácat ten čas, nevím, ty vole. Prostě tady stejný cinematik. Se mi podíváme znova. To je zahalí na debate, true. 2 cinematiky, jo, ty vole. Možná chtít 2 cinematiky po Blizzardu, to je trošičku moc. To je zase pravda. Ale tohle je luxus.
One who has spent his life striving for justice.
Asi si něco nakonec, jak to bude. No, uvidíme.
One who would give anything to serve his people.
Tak bylo dobře, je to dobrý cinematik. Tak to celé věci, co jsme slyšeli dneska předtím a prostě, jo, true, to je trošku otravné, to je pravda. To je opravdu otravné, no. Otravné, že jsem viděl tam Artase, protože věděl, že je to služebník Lich King, ale můžeme to znova probrat, to je úplně jedno. Aspoň tady můžeme takhle live probírat, a protože poznal, že vlastně v něm se nachází síla Jailera. A že je to služebník Jailera, stejně jako byl Artas, který ho vlastně zabil. A který z něho vyrval duši. Takže tak.
That prison could not hold me forever.
Why have you come to Bastion?
You have a key that I need.
His heart is pure. Yep, kappa.
Will release this soul from your grasp.
No. He is bound to me, just as you were sought to bind your own brother.
Jako, musím poznat, že ten cinematik byl absolutně luxusní. Pojďme real, neříkáme vůbec nic, ten cinematik byl prostě luxusní. Nedivím se, že ho pouští 2krát. To je pro mě jak Bration, tyhle spočíš, jsem tě pohodl za to, vy. Zapíchnu tam tu dagerku. To je podobné, jo. Tam tohle není dagerka, tohle je Kingsmorn. Musím si zapamatovat to jméno, Kingsmorn. Není to Shalamorn, není to nážný Frostmorn, je to Kingsmorn. Takže tak, já se chvilku probudil. Se znova ho posadl, tyjo. To je hrozně dobré. Co je hrozně líbí, ty vole. Prostě, když se podívají opravdu na detaily, tyhle, které máte v tom jeho obličeji, tak vidíte, prostě on, a to zabolelo, prostě, že ho chce jak kdyby ovládnout, a najednou prostě úplně ztratil, úplně nam, ty vole, prostě úplně nam, to jako, OK, a pokračoval dál ve svém plánu. To je velmi cool, protože jak vidíte, že prostě chvilku ten Joe přestal ovládat, a potom zase tyhle obnovil tuto. To ho ovládá, to je hrozně cool. Tak, divná umyslovina, OK. Jestliže běžíte nápadlo, až budu kontrolovat, oskenovat nejpustí. True, jako to mohli, to je pravda. Jako kdyby tam měla Kirsta celou svoji armádu a byli by tam všichni připraveni na něj, tak byl porazili. To by nebyla šance, on prostě překvapil. Takže tak, pojďme, něco nového. Bude něco nového.
We're going to call in the forces of all 4 of the Shadowlands covenants. For the first time in years, they will all come together, now reinvigorated by anima and by our actions within the Shadowlands, to take the fight directly to the jailer. Within the Maw, we will uncover brand new, never-before-seen areas. We'll also be fighting off some new and never-before-seen enemies, of course, and naturally be uncovering some brand new Maw-themed rewards while we're at it. Our return to the Maw includes not only a chance for us to push back against the dark designs of the jailer in areas that previously were very forbidding for us, where we really weren't able to spend very much time there. Having a secure, solid foothold with all 4 covenants allows us to push back against that oppressive force. We'll be able to stop the Eye of the Jailer in its tracks, exploring areas that we were unable to explore before. And our mounts will once again even hear our call within the Maw. The Maw will not only include some areas that we have seen previously, now with our new allies of the Covenants changing things up there,
takže už můžeme běhat v The Maw, chcete mi říct, že můžeme používat mounty v The Maw. Ale ne, že by to byla taková změna, já jsem si vzal svého koridora, koridor Creepera, ale tak je to celkem cool.
So in the finale of that cinematic, you saw that the jailer had sent his chains off out of the Maw and into the darkness. What he found there, that landmass shown there at the very end of that cinematic, is a landmass known as Korthia, and it makes up the largest new section of the Maw. Korthia is an ancient space that was lost in the in-between. It has its own strange creatures and wildlife that inhabit it, but it's also inhabited by some of the characters we've previously seen in Oribos, including the Attendants and the Protectors, and some of their city structures. And very similar to Oribos, it is filled with mysteries the likes of which the Shadowlands has yet to uncover. It is these ancient mysteries that the Jailer is truly after. The secrets of this strange group that we've only barely hinted at, known as the First Ones. Heading back into this area will allow us to explore all of these new sections, entertain new content,
a tady se evidentně dozvíme více. To je velice pokud, to se hrozně těším. Mě hodně zajímá, co jsou ti First Ones, protože okolo toho já plánuji teorii udělat. Je to okolo teorie, je to vlastně rasa, to je moc toho nevíme, budu velmi rád, že se o tom dozvíme.
This maw-themed undead horse and a maw hand mount that is actually a giant severed hand of domination that you'll ride on the wrist section of in a really creepy and cool manner.
Vlastně nebyl vidět přesně to na klasiky, a asi neví, asi ani ženy to nemají, to vůbec se nedíval, možná ani prostě nemají.
But our true purpose within the Maw is not just to collect battle pets. That's just a part. The true purpose of bringing all four of the covenants together within the Maw, of course, is to be taking the attack directly to the Jailer's doorstep. The central area where the Jailer has holed up with all of his main minions is going to be our focus here, as we raid the Sanctum of Domination.
Oh yeah. Sanctum of Domination. To bude nový raid.
The Sanctum of Domination will be a 10-boss raid, and you'll finally be able to face off against the terrible terror group that I'm sure has kicked you out of Torghast more times
už nám nebude dávat instakill ten zmrt jako v Torghastu. Možná bude dávat instakill, who knows, ty vole. Nebude mít nějakou fokus mechaniku, o co bude mít nějakou fokus mechaniku.
Against the creature that is the actual eye of the Jailer, and figure out really what is the Jailer's eye here. Those of you that were fans of the lore of the Titan Keeper Odin might have some interest in that particular fight. The Jailer's inner sanctum, naturally, is a place where some of the worst souls were sent for the Jailer's personal torment. And we'll be seeing some of those souls here as well. Really looking forward to hearing who you think will show up in the Jailer's personal torment sanctum. Of course, any raid.
Kdo si myslíte, že tam ukáže za charaktery tyhle u Jailera? On tam říká, že tam jsou spousta zajímavých duší, které byly zajímuty přímo samotným Jailerem. Uvidíme. A Kel'Thuzad samozřejmě bude tam jakožto boss, ty vole, to se těším.
At long last, we will be taking the fight directly to Sylvanas Windrunner, the Banshee Queen.
Arthas tam určitě bude, já si myslím, že Arthas tam bude.
The finale of this fight is going to change the future of the Shadowlands. But we're not going to spoil that for you today.
Uvidíme. Prosím, ať je mrtvá. Prosím, ať je Sylvanas opravdu mrtvá, ty vole.
But the Sanctum of Domination is not the only sanctum of the Jailer. We'll be seeing additional updates to Torghast, the Tower of the Damned, including the unlocking of brand new, never-before-seen wings. These wings have a brand new art kit, as well as new floors and new floor layouts, and should feel like something you haven't seen in Torghast up until now.
Tak to je vlastně asi Odinovo oko, to je Odinovo oko, které použil, aby se podíval do Shadowlands, a je to právě Jailer, který používá to oko, aby nás viděl, co děláme v Shadowlands. To je velice zajímavé.
To help us fight against all of these dastardly minions of the Jailer, brand new game-changing powers will be available as well. Moving on to additional updates within Chains of Domination, fans of the Operation Mechagon Mega Dungeon from our previous patches, we'll be happy to learn that we are once again bringing back the concept of the Mega Dungeon. The Mega Dungeon is an 8-boss dungeon, epic in scale, and always has unique and interesting loot that you can't find anywhere else. The Mega Dungeon for Chains of Domination is going to be focused around the enigmatic traders that we first met in Oribos, the Brokers. The Broker Mega Dungeon is a large broker trading city with portals, an auction house, and various different broker cartels that have made it their home. We're going to be learning more about broker culture and meeting some new and different kinds of brokers that we haven't seen up until now. This is an 8-boss dungeon, and in Chains of Domination will be available as Mythic only for now. Within the Broker Mega Dungeon, we will be facing off against brand new broker cartel members, including dastardly broker assassins and 4-armed broker guards. The second half of the dungeon, as we start to exit the broker trading city, will feature a heist section, as we chase a broker that has stolen an artifact and plans to use it for his own purposes. As we chase this broker through the heist section, he'll take us through a number of different portals that take us to a lot of different, very varied locations, where we fight a number of different bosses. One of these fights, of course, is against none other than an infinite pirate dragon. I trust that needs no explanation, so let's move on to the rewards. The rewards of this mega dungeon include things that we will only see within broker culture. Some very special broker pets, including a broker-themed cat. We can capture some of the rats that scurry around within the broker trading city, and we'll get to see one of the pets that the brokers actually use as a currency. These strange worms that they found on another world and have scintillating eyes that are gem-like. It's sort of like a living sign of your wealth for the high ends of the broker cartels. You might be able to purchase one of those within the dungeon or fight an enemy in order to obtain one of them. And we'll be able to obtain the broker's special and interesting disc mount with they fly around their trading city. In addition, there's going to be a dazzling array of different weaponry for you to collect as well. Now let's move on to updates to some of our covenant systems. We've been fighting hard to gain renown with our covenants, gain soulbinds, and additional conduits. We'll be expanding upon a lot of these systems. Some of the ideas that we're thinking about include adding additional conduits, different conduit types, and expanding the soulbind system. Our general goal here is to give you more options in terms of how you specialize your character within your covenant and how you gain additional power levels. We're very early on in the ideation phase here, and we'd love to hear from you. If you want to take to the forums and tell us how you would like to see your power grow within your covenant. Patch 9.1 also brings with it flying, something that we mentioned a while back, and we're sticking to it. There's no rep grind associated with flying. You simply just need to continue completing activities for your covenant, and your covenant story chapters will unlock flying for you automatically. But we're not simply going to be unlocking flying in Chains of Domination. No, we want to do everything heavily covenant-themed, because it's all about working for your covenants. So completing the flying will also unlock a new, specialized flying mount specific to your covenant. For the Kyrians, activating Anima to the Eternal Forge has allowed your stewards to once again produce this powerful flying centurion that hasn't been seen in ages. For the Night Fae, activating wild seeds with anima that were thought lost to the drought will reawaken our powerful allies in the Wolf Serpent. From the Maldraxians, the Necrolords naturally go to their natural environment, throw a saddle on one of the giant corpse flies buzzing around their backyard, and send that on into combat. There's one thing that you do know, they're not going to be afraid of the stench of death. And for the Venthyr, activating anima within Revendreth has allowed us to empower these Stoneborn groups, giving us anima-infused Stoneborn allies as our brand new flying mounts. But that's not all. Continuing to advance your covenant and your renown will also unlock a set of cosmetic armor. Cosmetic armor sets can be worn by any armor type, from cloth to plate, and they can be mixed and matched with any of your transmog outfits if you want to take just pieces of them, producing a variety of different unique outfit possibilities. The cosmetic armor set for the Kyrian is stylized after a Kyrian courier who might be rushing across the fields of Bastion with a missive. It's very lightweight, very airy. For the Night Fae, your cosmetic outfit will be themed around the Forest Defenders and includes many natural wildlife elements, including the horns of the Great Stag and the leaves of the various flora around Ardenby. As you can see, the colors here actually themed after the seasons as well. For the Necrolords, we went all the way back to the Warcraft 3 initial idea of the Necromancer in this classically inspired Necromancer set, updated with Necrolord colors. Everybody who's a Necrolord will finally get to also have a little bit of Necromancer in them as well. And finally, for the Venthyr, no Venthyr transmog set would truly be complete without a set of finery, just waiting for the next Venthyr fancy party to break out. Venthyr players will be able to obtain these fancy outfits for whenever you need to head off to a Chains of Domination will also herald the beginning of Shadowlands Season 2, where we will be seeing the addition of a brand new Domination-themed affix for Mythic Plus, an item level increase across the board in terms of available item levels that you can pick up by doing just about anything in the Shadowlands. We'll also be seeing the beginning of PvP Season 2, And something special in this PvP season that we're looking for is an honor talent refresh. The idea here is to take a look at some of our unused or underutilized honor talents and freshen them up a bit, change things around in terms of the PvP metagame. We'll also be seeing the introduction of seasonal rewards. These include both brand new colors of the Gladiator and Mythic Plus achievement mounts, as well as our new Vicious mounts. In this case, the Vicious mount is the Gorm. The Gorm was already pretty vicious, so slapping a couple of pieces of armor on that and sending them out into combat was a natural thing for the forces of the Alliance and Horde to do. Alright, let's take a second to recap everything coming at you in Chains of Domination. First, we've got some major story quests, including a lot of the main characters of the Shadowlands that are centered most specifically around the designs and plans of the Jailer and his attacks on our allies in our covenants. We will be taking revenge by taking the fight directly to the Jailer in the Maw and forming a permanent presence there with all 4 covenants. We'll be exploring some never-before-seen sections of the Maw, including this new area known as Korthia and its various mysteries. We will be taking the fight directly to the Jailer himself in the Sanctum of Domination raid, which has the final boss as Sylvanas Windrunner. And we'll be making updates to Torghast, including some never-before-seen wings, floors, creatures, and powers. We'll be introducing a new mega dungeon themed around the brokers as a floating broker trading city, with new bosses to fight there and some very unique loot to obtain. We're going to be expanding upon the conduits and soulbind systems, and adding additional choice and power to your presence within your covenant. And alongside that, we'll be seeing some brand new Covenant rewards, including Covenant-themed flying mounts and Covenant-themed cosmetic armor sets, both of which will be available in a variety of different colors to collect. Finally, we'll be seeing the launch of Shadowlands Season 2 and everything that entails. Thanks everybody for checking out our Shadowlands update. We've got a lot of really cool stories to tell still here in the Shadowlands, and we can't wait to get this content into your hands. From everybody on the World of Warcraft team, we hope you enjoy Chains of Domination, and we'll see you in the Shadowlands.
Zdá se, že ne, ono refresh talent, co to má být? To má být, že prostě budou nové že budou nové talenty. Tam budou nové PP, cute. Já tady máme PPho, tyjo. My máme tu různé PP, ten Fairmount je dobrý. Hele jo, tyjo, byl celkem pěkný. My máme prostě mouchu, tyjo.
Dolby is the proud partner of Blizzconline.
Okay, máme tu reklamu, musím si reklamu. Hele, mě se to tam líbí, to zajímavé, tyjo. Čekal jsem ještě aspoň jeden cinematik, čekal jsem aspoň, jo no, už to byl nějaký cinematik. Píšu k tomu líku vůbec, ani nevím, tyjo. Ads F, hej, soda, cute. Making, tady to je. Toto už bude náš konec, asi po tomhle už plánuju, že budeme končit. Já nebudu koukat na ty dvojce z Oba Afterlife, jelikož mám spoustu práce na těchto epizodách. To bude epizoda hned, no dneska na YouTube, takže tak.
So this seemed like a great opportunity to engage the community and let them choose the next mount for the World of Warcraft. Basically what we did was we came up with 5 ideas and we've actually invited all players to vote on the one that they like the best. It was interesting because we actually had a lot of internal debates about whether we would provide concept art for these pieces or not. I think we're all very glad that we didn't because the artists in our community really engaged and came up with some awesome art to bring these ideas to life. As the lead art producer for World of Warcraft, I work with a team of 3 other art producers, and together the 4 of us are responsible for the tracking and coordination of all of the art assets that go into the game.
When the Wandering Ancient was chosen, I was given the task to bring it to life. First step in the task was to get together a reference board. I looked at fan art done by the community. I collected reference from past iterations of Ancients. That actually was like a huge base on where I began, especially if it's an asset that is, you know, a rehashing of something familiar. We've seen lots of different types of Ancients, but we've yet to see one that you could ride on. And so it seemed to make sense that if we were going to make one, it would line up with the pantheon of past Ancients. So we have Ancients like the Ancient of War, the Ancient of Lore. Their look aesthetically fits their purpose. And so looking back and researching that and seeing that is what helped me kind of inform where I went from there. Once I have that reference board put together and I take a look at it, I start drawing real small. I look for a shape that is kind of a good base to work off of, and then I'll start to work in more specific details as more of the larger shapes start to make sense. I want it to feel like a natural grove that a player may stumble upon, and then they just take a seat on this conveniently saddle-looking root system, and then suddenly it uplifts and the character's surprised he's found himself on an ancient. The whole point of the concept, it's just all it is a blueprint or a guide. From there, I open up 3D Max, I start modeling it. I ended up keeping a lot of the foliage that was in the original ancient because a lot of that stuff was already there. And then there was a couple major parts of the creature that had to be created from scratch. So that would be like his main torso and his head and the tree. And for those, I used ZBrush to kind of sculpt out a mesh to use as a base to retopo a low poly model that would be acceptable for the game engine. Finally, you know, for the texture, I used 3D Coat. It's a great, powerful tool. Anybody who wants to do hand-painted textures should definitely look into using it.
When rigging starts to build the rig for the animators, we talk it over with the designer, and we decide to figure out what the best kind of topology is for better deformation for the animators to get a more lifelike capture. Deformation is basically how your skin moves on the bones, so the geometry itself gets attached. As far as how your arm moves or how your skin moves when you articulate your wrist, your elbows, beard, ears, you want to kind of get a general sense of how the head is going to turn or how the elbow is going to bend and get a better understanding of how it's going to deform. After that, you add controls for the animators so they'll be able to move those bones without having to worry about what's underneath the hood. They can just go for the visual look where they have the controls.
Jaký skladom, který známe, nebo to není žádný skladom, který známe, ty mě zajímalo. Animation, jo, tady se to víme, ty. Rozumím. OK, zajímavý. Velice zajímavý tohle. Okay.
After character art and rigging had finished with the model, they passed off to animation to breathe some life into it. The Wandering Ancient was a bit of a unique starting point. We had animations available to us from 16 or 17 years ago that really helped capture the spirit and personality for the creature. We wanted to use those as foundations to build upon, and without getting rid, we were able to go in and add new motion and life on top of this creature. We do this by a process called keyframe animation, which follows the rules set by traditional animation in the past. We were able to use 3D software to use the rig and model, bring personality and motion into the character. Animation is really drawn from inspiration from the real world. Watching creatures and animals, how they move, pick up these little things you might not think of. So it's really important to study the movement of nature and other humans to really figure out how your animation might better sell the motion and the physics behind it. A lot of creatures and characters in World of Warcraft don't exist in the real world. For this situation, we like to film ourselves through reference. It helps us get in the mindset and feel the personality of the character or creature. It really helps sell the motion that they might use.
Musí být zábava, ty vole. Upřímně, tohle musí být zábava, ty vole. Musí dabovat tohoto. Streamovce. To je veliká zábava. Soundy, jo.
So my first step as a sound designer is to look at the model, look at the animations that the art team has already made, and get familiar with the personality of the creature, with the material types that they've used. You know, how fast is it? How does it move? And then I can start putting together sounds that will help reinforce that. So, what is it made out of? Well, in this case, we have obviously it's a tree, so he's got his creaking wood elements. He's got his shaking leaves, but he's a creature that's sentient. He has a personality. So what would he sound like? What kind of vocalizations would he make?
Just basic walking animation.
Očekával ty vole, že se bude prostě měnit toto. Začal trošku slyšet. Já bych očekával ty vole, že to bude prostě to, že to se bude měnit, jak to vypadá. Bude to jaké období. To určitě, že prostě teď je zima, to bude takové zimní. Na jaro tam bude prostě takové jarní a prostě takhle to bude měnit. To si myslím, že určitě bude a to je hrozně.
Helping to define what these creatures have sounded like in previous iterations. So knowing that we were going to make a newer version of it for this mount was a cool opportunity to have him jump in and add his vocal layers, knowing that it's maybe a little smaller than the other ancients that have been in WoW in the past, and it's maybe a little more inquisitive, a little friendlier.
To help with the vocal layers, I'm going to do a creaking layer as well for the idols and
hele, to neříkám, v tom já se nevyznám, takže to přenechám jiným lidem, co se vyznají v animacích. V tom já se vůbec nevyznám.
One major tool for sound design is using layers to kind of composite together a coherent sound. So in the case of this huge tree creature, he has layers of leaves rustling, layers of branches moving as he shifts around. He's got his footsteps that are built out of a thud, the tree trunk itself kind of shifting and creaking and groaning, and then layers of his vocalizations as he's kind of making little idle sounds. So all of that comes together to create this one coherent set of sounds, but it's actually built out of a huge number of individual parts. It feels like a big organic creature where every time he moves, every one of his footsteps, his kind of his overall movement, there's a lot of variety there.
One of the ideas that came up was the changing of the colors of the leaves with the seasons.
I thought it was really fun to have these little extra Easter eggs, I guess, hiding on the mount, and it really helps bring the character's story and personality to a more unique place.
The team also added a little caterpillar to the top of the tree as a nod to the caterpillar that did not win the contest.
Oh yeah, the grub. I didn't have any part of that. That's actually all John. He did it himself.
When I had initially pitched the concept to the team, Kelvin Tan, he suggested, hey, why don't we put something like, I don't know, maybe like a little caterpillar or something like that. So that actually ended up being, for me, one of the more kind of standout features for the mount, because it almost looks like the caterpillar himself is in control of the mount, kind of sitting back.
What I would like to see if the community take from this is to see how much, emotion and love was put into it. Most artists here are also gamers and also WoW players, so it's one of those things where there's another group of players that are with the community, that are part of the community, that are just as involved in this as the community is.
So hopefully the first time you summon this mount, it's an awesome experience. The visual and the sound just feel really rewarding, and it's a super cool thing to hear. And the first time you do the mount special and see its cool animations and all the sounds, and you start riding around the world and hearing the different little idols and sounds that it makes. I hope that matches the level of enthusiasm that people had for seeing this thing and all the cool fan art people made for it.
Continuing to support the game, continuing to be passionate and excited for what we do. It's really a big part of what keeps me going to continue to work on this game. It makes me just feel super humbled and excited to continue doing what I do, so...
Výborný konec. Hele, mohli jsme se ještě nějaký cinematik, ale tohle je výborné. To se mi líbí. Jsem rád, že jsem to fantastic action tam. A teď by to měly být ty voices of Afterlife, jo. Čete, já už tady asi nebudu bohužel pokračovat, protože pro mě to nepravda. Dělám na video, budu vlastně tohle všechno zpracovávat do videí do toho. Zpracování do videí na YouTube, takže tak, mám další reklamu. Já se jenom podívám, já se jenom nakouknu a potom budeme nejspíš končit. Každopádně čete, co si myslíte zatím o tom, co si zatím myslíte? Jsem dal olovku, teď tam bude Voices of Afterlife, tohle je věc, která mě opravdu nezajímá, takže tady už asi ten stream cutnu. Každopádně je to Voices of Afterlife, to je tady toto. Počkat vteřinku. Jo, MDI, počkat. Ještě MDI, to se kouknu. Okay. Pak, Voices of Afterlife. Tady to si můžu posunout, ne?
We introduced to the AWC circuit a round-robin format that can be 8 best teams in North America and Europe to battle over 4 weekends.
No, já si to sněmat nebudu, tyhle. Ten nahopnu, tyhle. Já bych to chtěl streamovat, ale streamovat to asi nebudu, nevadí. Tady potom bude Q&A a potom hned další den. Evolution of Thrall, tyhle. Jo, to budu si vysvětlit o Trollovi. To jsou takové vedlejší věci a budeme cooking workshop. Tohle se bude vařit. To už není tak důležité, opravdu tam místo není tak důležité. Jediná možná ta Q&A, to budu sám sledovat, ale to je tak všechno. To bude jakože jediná zajímavá věc. No, to bude tady předobý, vidím ty Blizzard, vidíte přes tohle. To je zajímavý, to je zajímavý. Koukne na tohle. Au, to je arena ship, to není actually MDI. To je arena ship. Já bych chtěl vědět, jak tomu nebere vysvětloval, co má dělat za zvuky. Ale já myslím, že to nebylo tak těžké. Ukázají dřívější strmovce. Řeknu, že to nemá být tak mohutné, ty vole. Vlastně se tam si dělat nějaké takové zvuky, no. Ty musíš vidět ten update. No, já bych řekl tak za 2 měsíce. Možná 2 nebo 3 měsíce. Čete, kdy si myslíte, že to vyjde? Kdy si myslíte, že to vyjde?
The top 2 teams of each region will receive an invitation to compete in the second season of the AWC circuit. After 2 seasons of circuit, only the most determined will remain to compete in the Arena World Championship 2021 Grand Finals.
Ale se neviděl květen, tak za 3 roky. Ne, to dám možná vyjde už další expanze. Možná. Ne, ale hlavně, oni říkali, že nebudou mít takové dlouhé expanze. Nebo na druhou stranu nezlobil by jsem se, kdyby měl hodně kontentu. Proč ne? Každopádně i tak, ale jo, tady to je sign up. Sign up for Cup 4 a Voices of the Afterlife. Jo, tady budeme asi končit, jo, čete. Já ještě si chviličku poslechnu, a tady budeme už asi končit.
Hello everybody, welcome to
Tohle asi budu končit, jo. To už nebude tak zajímavé. To jsou Voices of Afterlife. OK, kdyby ten strom já chci taky, ty vole. Ale, jak píšou, jak tady píšou skip solo queue, ty vole, jo no, true, ty vole. Není tam nic o solo queue, škoda, toho nevadí. Ale už tady píšou tyhle skip. Tohle bude dlouhé, tohle bude velké povídání. Takže tohle už úplně vynecháme. Čete! Jaký máte názor zatím na to, co jsme viděli? No, ono už je to valná většina o tom, co jsme se vlastně dozvěděli o, co bude vlastně ve World of Warcraftu. A jaký máte na to názor? Napište do chatu. Napište schválně do chatu. Co si o tom myslíte? Myslíte, že jste spokojení s tím, co jsme viděli? A nebo ne? Já jsem chtěl ještě jeden cinematic, já jsem chtěl něco trošku více, ale tak neočekával jsem, že by tam bylo opravdu daleko více, chápete, takže by tam bylo jakože daleko více informací. To jsem opravdu nečekal. Byl tam Wandering Ancient, dozvěděli jsme se o novém patchi, dozvěděli jsme se o nějakých mountech, petech, nějaké transmogy tam byly ukázané a takové. TBCčko, no, release date TBCčko, to je jedna z věcí, které mě chyběla. A možná i release date tady tohoto, upřímně o tom už se asi tak bavit nebudou. Jediné, co bude, tak bude vlastně Q&A, a tam budou vlastně zodpovědět nějaké ty otázky. A no, nemáme datum, to je asi jediné, co mě zamrzelo. A chtěl jsem tyhle ještě jeden tento. Chtěl jsem ještě jeden cinematic. Ale tak budeme, víte co, bude nám to muset stačit. Možná ještě dostaneme nějaký trailer, who knows ty vole, bude to druhý tier, whatever. Každopádně, já jsem spokojený. Hele, máme tady anketu, je tady anketa, hlasujte v anketě, co pak tu je? Je to super, čekal jsem více, šlo to, pod moje očekávání, otřesný. Já dám, je to super. No, čekal jsem více. Já tady dám hlasovat, čekal jsem více, sám to budu hlasovat. Ale tak, na prvýkrát Blizzconline best super atmosféra a super chat lidi, i ty mage, ale já moc děkuji všem, co byli součástí dnešního streamu, že chvilku zůstaňte, než tu dojde ta anketa a my už budeme za chviličku končit. My tu máme ještě Voices of Afterlife, kdo? Draka jo?
Hey fam, hey
okay.
World of Warcraft fam. Oh my god, it's my girl, I love her.
Draka.
We have the fabulous...
To je zajímavé, ty orské charaktery. Voices of Afterlife, no. Hele, já si myslím,
There he is right there, Alex Trott.
Von Samdy, hele, Von Samdy. Ty vole, Von Samdy.
Again.
Fucking Von Samdy.
And of course, we couldn't talk Shadowlands. There's no way we could do Shadowlands without our fabulous, most beloved, our king, our Anduin Wrynn, also known as Josh Keaton. Josh,
thank you very much.
It's our people.
Thank you very much.
What's up, people?
Yeah.
To je velice zajímavé. A to už se nebudeme koukat. To je Anduin, no. Takže, tak hele, já to možná to uzavřu předtím, nebude to hlasování. Hele, jde to hlasování ještě zrušit, jo, já už budu za chvíličku končit stejně. Tady tak, ale vidíme to tady, vidíme, že tady je to super.